Chapter 661. Pain invades Kurigakure village. The land of water, Kurigakure village. Because of the geographical environment, it is located in the deep mountains. Although the entire village has been relocated and left the old site. However, the whole new Omegakure village is still surrounded by mountains, and it has not changed. The thick white mist, like a natural barrier, completely enveloped it. Because of the climate near the sea, the humid fog has hidden the village of Kurigakure in the middle of the mountains. Soon, dark shadows appeared in a special circular building. The village of Kurigakure is just ahead. 6 people were ushered in a few kilometers away from the gate. They all wore black yui-colored auspicious cloud robes, and everyone's face was indifferent. The most special of them is that they have black chakra sticks on their faces. At the same time, without exception, their wavy pupils are all the same. Rinnegan, Akatsuki's robe, has completely revealed the identity of the 6. They are the Pain 6 Paths who came to Kurigakure village to capture the 6-tailed Jinchuriki column force. 6 people 6 walked in the misty mountains, no one said a word. Seems that they are very tacit, and they can know what each other is going to do without communicating at all. While 4 of the 6 people all dodged to the 2 sides and left. Only the Pain Heavenly Path and the Animal Road are left, walking towards the gate of Kurigakure village. At this time, when the 2 walked out of the thick white fog, they could see the Kurigakure village ninjas in several teams ahead, staring at them with serious faces. At this moment, the situation is severe, and the usual 2 patrol teams have become 444. Now when they saw the Pain Heavenly Path and the Animal Road, they stopped it immediately. Yes, it's Akatsuki. When a group of Kurigakure patrolling ninjas took a look, they were all shocked. Akatsuki's iconic clothing, of course they all know it. Especially now that they have started to act, after creating so many disturbances in the ninja continent. As long as they are ninjas, they should be very familiar with them. Quick! The leader, Kurigakure Chunin, waved his hand and shouted at Genin behind him. Go and inform Mizukage-sama, these guys from Akatsuki are actually here. Rinnegan's psychic art. Pain's animal face is expressionless, and there is no nonsense at all, immediately. Come to the front of Heavenly Path and slap the hand seal with both hands towards the ground. Was a muffled thud, and in front of several Kurigakure patrol squads, sheets of white smoke appeared. Roar! With a huge roar, a giant psychic dog broke through the smoke. It's brown all over, and there are innumerable huge heads, each of which is visible with a big mouth full of kiba. Exceptions. The massive canine head is full of the iconic Rinnegan, while a giant black chakra stick is nailed to the nose. With a strange overall shape made the village ninjas' scalp numb. Quick! Defense! Can't let they pass. Although they were terrified looking at the moment, no one chose to back down. They know that their relatives and families are still there. Later, if they leave, then let this terrifying psychic beast go in, and the whole village of Kurigakure may be destroyed again. Now they are just developing, they are no longer allowed to be destroyed once. No, to be more precise. They can't afford to be destroyed like this again. If they do not resist here, the situation in the future will be inevitable. There is no way. They can only hold on until the arrival of Mizukage Terumi. Maybe there is still hope for everything. The cold wind of the cold night whistled past. At the door of Kurigakure village, the atmosphere began to change, serious and slaughter. Dozens of ninjas in Kurigakure village were pale and heartbroken, and some even went blank. Akatsuki's invasion was so direct. No one would have thought that they would actually dare to walk in with such unbridled swagger. Let's get started. Pain Heavenly Path standing at the back didn't talk to them any nonsense at all. Roar! Just as Heavenly Path's voice fell, a furious roar came out. The Animal Road that controls the split dog in front, immediately stood on it. Immediately, its huge size has stepped out and trampled towards the Kurigakure village ninja in front. Use compound ninjutsu. Seeing the split dog rushing at the foot of the animal road, Chunin, who was headed by Kurigakure village, endured the fear immediately. Wave the command. Sweetened water style, water dragon bullet technique. Sweetened water style, wild water wave technique. Released out. Several giant dragons condensed by sweetened water style, they opened their mouths and attacked. The monstrous waves below also began to be gathered continuously, and finally formed a tsunami-like offensive. Originally, all of them were ordinary ninjutsu, but with the fusion of dozens of people, their power was enormous. Now Terumi-mei was afraid of Akatsuki's invasion, so all the ordinary Kurigakure village ninjas were sent to the periphery. The ninjas in the village of Kurigakure who stayed in charge of security, all of them were very strong. So now they are not disrupted by the formation, but endured the pressure immediately. The organization formed a counterattack. Hula! The waves of water all over the sky instantly drowned the roaring and rushing split dogs. Did it work? Several Kurigakure ninjas looked excited, looked at the split dog who was now submerged by sweetened water style in front of them and said. However, the next second, along with the defeat of the sweetened water style dragon, the water curtain was washed away, and their expressions immediately turned white again. In front of me turned into two. After being injured, they did not die, but began to split. Ah! With their arrival, screams began to appear at the gate of Kurigakure village. Kurigakure village, inside Mizuka's office. Terumi-mei, who had just closed the document, was a little sleepy when she was immediately struck by the loud noise outside the door. Wake up! Back! Looking at the sky-high waves and the huge shadow over there, Terumi-mei's face was instantly ugly. She has begun to think about what she needs to face next. Mizuka-sama, it's not good. Just as Terumi-mei was about to leave, a genin from the village of Kurigakure hurried over. What's going on outside the door? Terumi-mei looked at the panicked genin immediately. Asked. It's Akatsuki who invaded. Ninja from the village of Kurigakure who came to deliver the letter said with a mournful face. Mizuka-sama, it is very difficult for us to hold on. Damn, they actually came. Terumi-mei immediately. Dodge away, not talking nonsense at all. Chapter 662. Night, quiet Shisui. Under this quiet dark curtain, all the hustle and bustle has stopped. Everything is silent, waiting for the next dawn to come. Konoha village, inside the Hokage office. Lord Hokage, now Kurigakure has been attacked. Kimimaro, wearing Anbu's uniform, dodged to Gong Yi's eyes immediately. Said. After the investigation of the Four Tails was over, he has been paying attention to the affairs in the village of Kurigakure. When Pain Heavenly Path started to invade Kurigakure, the spies in the village immediately. Message sent. After Kimimaro got the news, he immediately. Drop everything and come here to report. Now Gong Yi's future plans have been revealed to Kimimaro a lot. Therefore, he didn't dare to be sloppy at all. If it ruined Gong Yi's plan, it would not be what he could bear. Kimimaro, who was raised by Gong Yi since childhood, is now unconditionally loyal to Gong Yi. Whether Gong Yi's plan is right or wrong is irrelevant here at Kimimaro. He knew was that he helped Gong Yi accomplish what he wanted, so that's fine. Well, because of this, Gong Yi is now gradually entrusting some of his own affairs to him. Well, I also received ninja pigeons from Kurigakure village here. With a faint smile on Gong Yi's face, he nodded and looked at Kimimaro. It seems that the Four Tails' defeat this time has made them unable to wait. Hehe, they are naturally afraid of Yi Changmeng. After all, Mr. Gong Yi, your power is completely beyond their ability to compete. Kimimaro smiled behind the mask, as if he was extremely confident in Gong Yi. If the Kurigakure village is not a teacher and you deliberately let them go, then this time their six-tailed Jinchuriki column will not try to get it. Naturally. Gong Yi knocked on the table and said with a meaningful smile, this time, the power of the ninja in Kurigakure village is weakened in disguise, and it is also for the future plan, which is actually not bad. Then do we need to go now, Lord Hokage? Kimimaro looked at Gong Yi and asked. No, don't worry. Now is not the time for all this. A thoughtful expression on his handsome face, Gong Yi said in a deep voice, I have given Mizukage to activate Hiraishin's characteristic kunai before, and now after the previous communication, if Akatsuki enters Kurigakure, she will send a message, and I, as an ally, will also send a message. I'll go there myself. But it's a long way to Kurigakure, and now she knows it too. Gong Yi's smile continued, so, we just need to delay on the road, let the ninja power of Kurigakure village be weakened by a few layers, and wait until the six-tailed Jinchuriki column power, we can show up. Lord Hokage, this way you won't get caught by those guys from Kurigakure village. Hearing Gong Yi finish saying this, Kimimaro was confused and said with some worry. They will naturally be suspicious, so we must show up at the right time and kill a few pains first. If he had already made up his mind, Gong Yi said lightly, as long as you kill Pain who delayed Mizukage and the others in their pursuit, this disguise is enough to dispel their suspicions. After all, when the land of fire reaches the land of water, it can't be reached in just a few minutes. Even with the Hiraishin technique, it is impossible to cross such a far sea, Mizukage naturally knows. I understand Hokage-sama. Hearing what Yi-han said, Kimimaro nodded and showed a clear understanding on his face. Now Gong Yi's plans are very subjective and his intentions are very clear. With Kimimaro's knowledge of Gong Yi, there are no more questions. The atmosphere slowly fell silent. Gong Yi turned around and looked at the wide floor-to-ceiling windows, where a bright moonlight shone down on the entire Konoha building. On the road of Nuoda, the street lights of Baichuan are now extremely bright, breaking through all the darkness. Although it can be felt that Terumi Mei is as complicated to herself as Tsunade is to herself. However, Gong Yi did not affect his plans because of these external factors. Now on the Kurigakure side, Gong Yi's idea is really simple. The first is, using the current Pain Heavenly Path, let him enter the Kurigakure village to wreak havoc, to weaken the strength of the Kurigakure village. The second is, let Akatsuki grab the Jinchuriki column force so that he can implement the plan and prepare for the opening of the Fourth Ninja War. Everything is driven by Gong Yi behind the scenes, and he also knows that it is orderly and there are no surprises. After all, under this circumstance, no one would have thought that Gong Yi already knew everything. Even still, secretly complacent, ready to use the resurrected Ten Tails to deal with Gong Yi's Uchiha Obito. And I thought that after calculating everything, I could master Uchiha Madara of the ninja world. And there's the whole behind the scenes, ready to resurrect Otsutsuki Kagaya. These, the self-righteous conspirators, the masters. They may not even know that the entire ninja continent has long been seen through by Gong Yi. Of foresight that Gong Yi has no worries at all now. The whole ultimate plan is now coming to an end, as long as he officially cooperates with Uchiha Obito, launches the Five Shadows Conference and starts the Fourth Ninja World War, then everything will come to an end. And those arrogant guys don't know that they are actually taking advantage of other people. He was completely manipulated by Gong Yi. It didn't take long. After a brief preparation, along with the Dark Knight, Gong Yi and Kimimaro left Konoha village. Now Kimimaro has taken off Anbu's costume and changed into a black combat uniform. Gong Yi, on the other hand, is very casual, still wearing Yuhi's white Hokage robe. There was not much expression on his face at the moment. It seems that the next thing is completely nothing important to him at all. Well, it's more like the current Gong Yi invisibly, he's just gone through a cutscene. Following behind Gong Yi, Kimimaro didn't say much. Knew it, I followed Gong Yi to perform an unknown number of tasks. Now he also understands that as long as this man is in front of him, everything seems to be solved. At this time, Kimimaro didn't seem too nervous at all. He felt that all things, in the hands of his teacher, were not things at all. Suppressing some complicated thoughts, the two gradually disappeared into the middle of the night. Goal Kurigakure, go, to see the ununderlined version of the novel. Chapter 663. Passive Terumi Mei. Just as Gongyi took Kimimaro out of Konoha village, the Kurigakure village was shaking with loud noises. I saw that the thick white fog that shrouded all around had dissipated, and was replaced by a scene of blazing fire. Dozens of gigantic split dogs ran rampant, trampling in front of this Kurigakure village. The loud bang, the rumbling noise, and the voices of countless people crying and scolding mixed around. It can be seen that the main force of the village of Kurigakure, led by Terumi Mei, is forcibly holding the split dog here. It is because of them that the rear of the village of Kurigakure is still relatively safe, and has not been destroyed to the point of being completely destroyed. The flounder is liberated, seeing that there is one more. The split dog rushes in, trying to destroy the ninja formation in Kurigakure village. Chengjuro, holding a double knife flounder, dodged and bombarded it. Chakra was quickly injected into the flounder, and its radiance began to expand. Next second, Chojuro waved his light blade, causing the split dog to stop again. However, invisibly, it actually split again. Mizukage-sama, if we continue like this, we're really screwed. Ching frowned tightly and came to Terumi Mei's side. This psychic beast in front of us is too weird. It seems that every time we kill it, it should split into the same individual. If you don't stop them now, then the village of Kurigakure may be doomed. Terumi Mei's charming face was pale at the moment, and her whole body was gloomy. It was just the split dog at the feet of the animal, which caught them off guard. The two sides fought for only a few tens of seconds, but they began to fall into a passive state. Although Kurigakure village, it is a very famous big village in the ninja world. But right now, because I haven't cultivated, I can't really be like Konoha village or Iwagakure village. Of their ninja powers are still being cultivated at the moment. A new generation of ninjas, Terumi Mei didn't let them join the fight. Especially looking at the pain heavenly path behind, Terumi Mei knew in his heart that he was very dangerous. Mizukage-sama, we Kurigakure have already joined forces with Konoha, haven't we? Released a ninjutsu again, Ching looked at Terumi Mei. Do you want to inform the 5th Hokage now? I already released the news when I came. I think if he receives it, he will definitely come. Terumi Mei nodded and seemed to be very confident. According to Terumi Mei's understanding of Gongyi, she feels that she has already cooperated. Then Gongyi is absolutely impossible, and will choose seeing death without saving. Especially now, Konoha village and Akatsuki have long been part of the immortality. This matter is known to everyone in the entire ninja world, and they are even cleared by these ninja Omura. Akatsuki's member, Gongyi, killed several. At the same time, because of the incident with Gaara in Sunagakure village, it is estimated that Akatsuki's #1 enemy is Konoha village. Now with Gongyi's look, I found the figure of Akatsuki members. Then he will definitely choose to come in person and kill him. Everyone feels that he understands Gongyi's character, that is, to kill all the enemies. Since Wu Hokage has been notified, I hope he will come. Hearing Terumi Mei finish speaking, Ao nodded with a complicated expression on her face. Right now, it's actually quite embarrassing for him. One of the 5 major ninja villages in the ninja world of a dignified continent, now encountering an enemy, it has been reduced to relying on an outsider. Thinking about it, Chengdu felt ashamed. However, there is no way to do it. After going through the bloody Kurigakure village, and later going through Gongyi's shot that almost wiped out the village, then the riot of the tailed beast, plus the construction of mission points in the interior. This series of things made the village of Kurigakure very passive. The old ninjas suffered serious losses, and the new generation of ninjas has not yet fully grown. This kind of situation has caused the village of Kurigakure to be green and yellow, and its status is extremely embarrassing. Sweden, water style, water formation wall. Hula. Boom. Ah, save me. Damn bastard, go to hell. Of the village of Kurigakure ahead is still noisy at this moment. The deafening sound and the continuous release of ninjutsu became the main theme. Now Kurigakure village ninja is biting Kiba and is trying to resist the split dog in front. It is still Ninja Omura. No matter how it declines, it is not something that can be destroyed by a psychic beast. So, it would be too fake. Have found the position of Jinchuriki column force. Standing at the back of the battlefield, the expressionless Pain Heavenly Path looked down at Ju, who was showing his head. Yes, she has been transferred to Coordinate 103 by several Kurigakure Jonin. Location. Ju nodded and continued. That should be the forbidden place where the tailed beasts were sealed before the village of Kurigakure. I see. A pair of indifferent eyes radiated a strange look at this moment. Pain Heavenly Path looked at him coldly. Terumi Mei, a group of Kurigakure ninjas, was completely unconcerned by him. They are still too weak for Nagato, and the reason why they are still here. Now this high-profile entry into Kurigakure, in disguised form, is also to force the force of Jinchuriki column out. At present, the news has been obtained through Ju, and Pain Heavenly Path is naturally no nonsense. Next second. The brutish way standing on the split dog, she seemed to get some kind of order right away. Leave. When it reappeared, it was already in front of Pain Heavenly Path. Hand seal with both hands again, slapped towards the ground. Rinnegan Spiritism. How is it possible? Terumi Mei and the others widened their eyes when they saw a large cloud of white smoke appearing again in front of the animal road ahead. They couldn't believe that Pain was now able to summon a psychic beast again. How did she do it? How could there be a psychic beast? Terumi Mei and a group of ninjas from Kurigakure village all sank in their hearts. Spiritualism itself requires signing a blood pact with the creatures that need to be summoned. But in a lifetime, all people can only sign one creature for channeling. If you've already made a blood pact with one of the creatures, it's impossible to make a second one. But now the situation of the animal world has completely refreshed the three views of Terumi Mei and each of them. Whoa, almost blinking, a huge lizard sticking out its tongue immediately. Rush out. It is green all over, and at this moment a pair of huge round pupils are still rippling Rinnegan. The moment it appeared, some people who didn't want to believe before turned green. Just the giant dog in front of it that keeps splitting is tricky enough, but now it's a skill, and there's another. Psychic beast with a weird shape. Chapter 664. Rally-like confrontation. Mizukage-sama, what should we do? Seeing the appearance of the green lizard, Chojuro retreated to Terumi Mei with a double-sworded flounder in his hand. Damn, how did they do it? Cyan bit Kiba with an ugly face and cursed inwardly. Nearly hundreds of ninjas from the village of Kurigakure all retreated, looking forward with pale faces. At this moment, the village of Kurigakure in the rear has already begun to become a mess, and I don't know how many ninjas from the village of Kurigakure are evacuating them. Unlike the rest of the ninja village, Pain is shooting now, not like Uchiha Itachi and others. 4. This Akatsuki leader, none of them dared to take it lightly. She saw that it was going to be a skill now, and when the second psychic beast appeared, they were even more afraid to relax their vigilance. All have a defensive formation ready, and when they rush over, immediately use a large compound ninjutsu. Terumi Mei seemed to have made up her mind as she continued. Everything in front is irrelevant, just guard the back. Looking at the dozens of split dogs in front of her, plus this green lizard with unknown abilities, Terumi Mei has already made up her mind. Previously, she was thinking of trying to preserve the front position of Kurigakure village as much as possible, but now it was impossible. She decided to treat this place as a battlefield. Understood. A group of ninjas in Kurigakure village heard the words immediately. Drink. Everyone's face showed a return to death, and the whole body was in a tense state. Pain in front makes any movement. They seem to release ninjutsu from the hand seal without hesitation. Course, when they were all ready, the next thing that took them by surprise occurred. I saw a huge green lizard. When it opened its big mouth, Pain, Heavenly Path and Beast Dao actually walked in. Not good. When the psychic lizard's mouth closed, Terumi Mei's heart sank. She immediately. He backed out. Chanjuro, hurry up and transfer the force of Jinchuiki column. Terumi Mei's voice just fell, and the lizard that looked like a hill just before disappeared. The noisy scene just now, a rare silence began to appear, and everyone in Kurigakure village widened their eyes and showed a dumb look. It actually disappeared. What's the situation? When all the Kurigakure ninjas in the back were confused, I looked at Terumi Mei with a sudden realization. Mizukage-sama, what do you mean? They've already got the position of Jinchuriki column force. Quick! He could answer Ching. Terumi Mei shouted. Call the perception ninja team, let them spread out, and find this psychic beast for me. Yes. When Chojuro left, all the ninjas in the village of Kurigakure started to move one after another. Terumi Mei followed the attack of the split dogs, and the Jonin behind them immediately. Get the perception ninja squad. They all understand that Akatsuki should be the one who wants to plot against them now, Jinchuriki column force. So the most important thing for them is that there is only one. Find this hidden psychic beast and stop them from taking the human Jinchuriki column force. Mizukage-sama, there is no way to keep going like this. Again, another senior member of the Kurigakure village frowned. If it continues, Akatsuki is likely to succeed. They won't get it lightly. Out sheets of magma, Terumi Mei turned her head sideways and said, now this psychic beast is huge, and it can't be far away. Although it hides its shape now, if it moves, we will definitely find it. Notify all perception teams and search all around, they must be nearby. Words fell, Terumi Mei used the teleportation technique to leave, and once again killed the split dog in front. Was a quiet night, and the fire was blazing here at the moment. The ninjutsu inside is constantly intertwined, and the huge roar never stops. Split dogs and the ninjas in the village of Kurigakure was like a rally, and no one was willing to relax. To relax will die. In just a short while, all the perceptual ninjas began to unfold a comprehensive shroud. The green lizards who left with the pain heavenly path and the animal path became their heart disease. At this moment, Chojuro has also arrived at the place of Jinchuriki column force, and at the same time started to leave towards the rear of Kurigakure village. Since they may have been exposed, they naturally won't stay here. It looks like Pain hasn't succeeded yet. On one side of the towering cliff, Gongyi stands here quietly. At this moment, his pair of eyes looked forward quietly. Although it is already dark at the moment, and the white fog of the surrounding mountains is thick. But Gongyi could still clearly see the orange-yellow fire through the mist. The rumbling sound was so far away at the moment, but Gongyi could clearly feel it through his feet. The battle ahead is fierce. Teacher, is it a little too early for us to come now? Kimimaro, who was beside Gongyi, looked at him and asked. No, that's just right. Shaking his head, Gongyi's face. Wrong slowly revealed a smile. Kurigakure village has been developing secretly for so long. Now we can learn about their strength in advance, which is also convenient for our next plan. Although the distance from Konoha village to Kurigakure village is long now, it is not too long for existences like Gongyi and Kimimaro. All their time was wasted on crossing the sea. After entering the land of water, Gongyi can use Hiraishin to arrive here almost instantly. As early as before, around the village of Kurigakure, many Indian patterns of Hiraishin had been arranged by himself. At the same time, after the inauguration ceremony of Terumi Mei last time, Gongyi cast a wide net. Now the whole village of Kurigakure has a valuable location, and you can enter it at any time. Well, it's just that Terumi Mei doesn't know about this now. At this moment, she is still, the village is constantly entangled with the split dog. Teacher, what else is worth noting in Kurigakure village now? Hearing Gongyi finish saying this, Kimimaro was a little puzzled. I have been sending Anbu to monitor them, and the ninja power in the entire Kurigakure village doesn't seem to be very strong. Hearing this, Gongyi shook his head, staring straight ahead with a smile. Everything on the surface is for outsiders to see. Their inner things are well hidden. After their Kurigakure village construction mission point in the borderland, we have also earned a lot of money, and we must be secretly developing ninja forces. So it is. Kimamaro's face showed enlightenment and nodded. It seems that I am really careless. Chapter 665. Self-evident relationship. The rear of Kurigakure village. At this moment, in this dark night, nearly hundreds of ninjas from the village of Kurigakure retreated from here with a serious look. I saw that the leader was Chojuro, who was holding Flounder with 2 swords. The bird looked down and it was clear that a woman was surrounded by hundreds of ninjas. She was also pale at the moment, and her whole person was obviously a little scared. That's right, she is the Jinchuriki column force of the 6-tailed people of Kurigakure village. The only one who can dispatch over 100 ninjas to protect her is. Now she is only Terumi Mei. As the village of Kurigakure belongs to nuclear weapons. The same existence is naturally strictly guarded by people. Especially here in Akatsuki, their goal is obvious, so everyone dare not take it lightly. Lord Chojuro, damn, Akatsuki, did they actually find this place? Following Chojuro, a Kurigakure village Jonin clenched his fists and bit Kiba. The current situation is not easy to judge. Nagjiro looked around with a serious look, shook his head and said, now after they disappeared with the help of the psychic beast, Lord Mizukage thinks they may have found this place. Flounder in his hands tightly, Chojuro no longer had the appearance he had been following Terumi Mei before. In such a situation so far, he had to be very careful. Terumi Mei is relieved to leave the escort Jinchuiki column force out of here. Then Chojuro naturally knew that he must not make the slightest mistake. After all, if there is a problem and the human Jinchuiki column force is taken away, then it will be the end. Mistakes of Iwagakure village, Kumogakure village and the others. Not what Nagajiro thought. So it is. Behind Chojuro, nodded and seemed to understand. Damn, Lord Chojuro, why don't we fight with them? Akatsuki is so deceiving, how dare he invade my Kurigakure village like this? Kurigakure Chunin at the rear showed anger on their faces. As Kurigakure has grown, they haven't had this kind of anger for a long time. This happened suddenly when a group of people felt that their village had risen. Well, no matter who it is, they actually feel a little suffocated. Mizukage-sama has already led someone to fight back. Chojuro forced a smile on his face and comforted. Akatsuki won't be arrogant for long, everyone pay attention. Boom! Before Chojuro could finish speaking, a loud noise erupted from the center of hundreds of ninjas. As soon as the booming sound appeared, countless gravels flew across, and the entire previously orderly ninja formation was instantly destroyed. Split apart. Hit by a stone because they couldn't dodge in time, and the momentarily quiet surroundings began immediately. Become noisy. Enemy attack. We encountered the enemy, quick protector Jinchuiki column force. A group of ninjas from the village of Kurigakure were evading, their expressions changed drastically. Drink. I didn't know when, a gigantic green lizard came out of the ground. And with its appearance, immediately, dozens of Kurigakure village ninjas were killed. Damn, Akatsuki and the others are still here. Chojuro rushed out first, and the double knife Flounder in his hand burst into light. Chakra vented wildly, and all was injected into it. The current Chojuro knows that even if he dies, he will never allow the Jinchuriki column force to be captured. Sweetened water style water bullet technique. Sweetened water style wild water wave technique. Sweetened water style. Just as Chojuro rushed out, the rest of the Kurigakure village ninjas also hand seals one after another. The offensive in all directions was like a violent storm. all of which smashed towards the green lizards one after another. And in the next second, I saw that when the green lizard opened its mouth, Pain Heavenly Path standing inside looked indifferent. He completely ignored the incoming ninjutsu, and raised his hand instead. A pair of terrifying Rinagans look ahead, and that location is a Jonin from the village of Kurigakure. He is dodging at the moment, leaving with a Jinchuriki column force. Bansho Tenon, Universal Pull. In an instant, the Jonin who was about to leave here immediately. Complexion changed greatly, his whole figure seemed to be frozen for a while, and what was waiting for him was an unstoppable super attractive force. It was like an invisible big hand that grabbed him first, and then pulled him back instantly. The surrounding ninjas and Changjiro's offensive did not fall, and this Jonin, who left with the force of Jinchuriki column, has come to the front of Pain Heavenly Path. The terrifying attraction did not allow him to resist at all. Pain Heavenly Path is indifferent, a sharp black chakra thorn suddenly sticks out from under the wide sleeve. No. Kurigakure Jonin, who was forcibly caught by gravity, was about to slam into it when he saw his body. He shouted angrily, his eyes bloodshot. What was waiting for him in the next second was not a miracle, but a muffled sound, and he was directly nailed to the chakra spikes. And the six-tailed man Jinchuriki column force he was carrying was immediately taken by Heavenly Path without even making a sound. Seal, and then still at the feet of the animal realm. The light of ninjutsu has already reflected the blue on his face, and Changiro is even more angry and has dropped the two swords in his hand. Shinra Tensai Almighty Push sign. When all this flash of lightning, accompanied by the opening of Pain Heavenly Path again. An invisible force of repulsion suddenly erupted, and it began to rapidly disperse around him centered on him. The compound ninjutsu released by hundreds of ninjutsus before, and the desperate blow of Changiro. When they were only a few centimeters away from the green lizard, they all stopped instantly. Then on everyone's unbelievable faces, they all flew out diagonally as if they were destroying trees. At the same time, just as Chojiro is still here, at the moment of the earth-shattering battle, the same is true here at Terumi-mei in front of Kurigakure village. Although they have steadily achieved the top at this moment, but the split dog is simply too pervert. Because no matter how you kill it, it will continue to split, which will lead to more and more. Okay, Pain's side shot, we should show up too. At the same time, Gong Yi, who is still watching the game quietly, seemed to sense something. He smiled and put his hand on Kimamaro's shoulder. The technique of Hiraishin activates. It was just a dazzling eye, and when Gong Yi appeared, he was already standing beside Terumi-mei. In Konoha village before, after Gong Yi gave Terumi-mei a special kunai, she has been wearing it. Looking at this situation at the moment, some things are actually self-evident. For a moment, Gong Yi seemed to know something in his heart. Chapter 666. At this moment, the village of Kurigakure here has been forced into a frenzy by the ability of the split dog. Gong Yi's sudden appearance surprised them all. Countless Kurigakure village Jonin, and those at the top were all taken aback. Even Terumi-mei herself did the same. For the sudden appearance of two big living people like this, it is inevitable that they will not be allowed to immediately be vigilant. But when everyone fixed their eyes and looked at it, they couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. I saw that Gong Yi, who was wearing a Hokage robe, was recognized by all the people in Kurigakure village. Even some ninjas who haven't seen Gong Yi's true face, they can clearly recognize it by the big white robe of Yuhi that Gong Yi is wearing. 5 generations of Hokage. Lord Hokage, you really rushed come. Terumi-mei, who had a bad face, forced a smile when she saw Gong Yi's appearance. Of ninjas can't help but secretly rejoice. Fortunately, it belongs to myself now. People, if they suddenly appear, it is the enemy. Then Terumi-mei, their Mizukage, is likely to be killed in an instant, and they won't be able to fight back at all. Kurigakure village and Konoha village are allies. Now since Akatsuki really dares to come, I naturally need to take action. Gong Yi's face. Rong showed a smile, looked at Terumi Mei and said. Now he seems to be showing a very responsible attitude. When this sentence was finished, all the people in Kurigakure village were excited. Although the hatred between Gong Yi and Kurigakure village still exists, it can always be forgotten over time. If the last tail beast riot had not been suppressed by Gong Yi himself, Kurigakure village would probably no longer exist. Then added Gong Yi's Konoha village, and helped Kurigakure village establish a mission point on the ninja continent, and obtained a lot of money. Sudden, as Terumi Mei's intentional propaganda has been resolved, the ninjas of Kurigakure village gradually began to accept Gong Yi. Especially today, after Akatsuki blatantly invaded the village of Kurigakure and used some pervert psychic beasts. They saw Gong Yi's arrival, they undoubtedly had an extra savior. That's really grateful. Hearing what Gong Yi said, Terumi Mei's pale complexion eased a lot. Now that Gong Yi has agreed to take action, the mere split dog in front of him must not be a threat. The 5th generation of Hokage can come to support, it seems that we can also relax a lot. Great, we finally have strong reinforcements. Looks like the alliance that Mizukage-sama promised before is the most correct choice. Now, led by Ao, the ninjas from the village of Kurigakure could not help but whisper. Mizukage, you are so kind. Gong Yi smiled and looked up to the front, where hundreds of Kurigakure were fighting the split dogs. But now that Akatsuki is here, could it be that this psychic beast was released? If pretending to be completely puzzled, Gong Yi turned his head. Asked Terumi Mei. No. Terumi Mei heard this, she frowned and said, now this member of Akatsuki, she seems to have the ability to summon a second psychic beast. That psychic beast can enter a state of invisibility. We currently perceive ninjas. A full investigation is underway. That is to say, the current enemy is only the one in front of me. The split dog. That's how it looks now. Terumi Mei nodded, looked at Gong Yi and continued, but there is no need to worry about the Jinchuriki column force, I have already sent someone to transfer her continuously. Now we just need to get rid of this psychic beast. Then I think the hidden Akatsuki members, we can find them. After all, it's huge, and now that it enters our village of Kurigakure, I will find out. With self-confidence on her face, Terumi Mei was still unknowingly analyzing. It seems that they are hiding around, waiting for us to reveal our weak points, so we can rush to the village directly. Mizukage's analysis makes sense. Hearing Terumi Mei finish saying this, Gong Yi also agreed with a smile without a smile. Then let's get rid of this psychic beast first. Now Gong Yi naturally knows that Pain Heavenly Path has succeeded. And here Terumi Mei seems to be still there, I don't know. The whole Kurigakure village seems to have honeyed confidence in their defense. However, as everyone knows, the current Pain Heavenly Path has already caught the Jinchuriki column force. And they are still entangled with a psychic beast here. Kimimaro. Teacher. You go to assist the ninjas in Kurigakure village and get rid of this psychic beast first. Yes. Kimimaro responded immediately, and immediately left the place. When he appeared again, he had come to the center of the battlefield. Your Excellency Hokage can't be careless. Seeing Kimimaro rushing out, Terumi Mei immediately. He reminded aloud. This psychic beast has a special ability, and every time it is hurt, it will always split into an individual. So it is. Putting his hand on his chin, Gong Yi pretended to just understand and secretly said, no wonder there are so many identical psychic beasts. Damn it, that's why we've been stalemate for so long. Qingshan came to Gong Yi's side and said in a voice. You don't have to worry. Even though it has the ability to split, it doesn't mean it can't be killed. Gong Yi's face didn't show too much ugliness, he just continued lightly, maybe it only needs to give it a fatal blow, then it can also destroy its ability. The fatal strike. When Gong Yi finished speaking, everyone around was a little hesitant. They didn't quite understand the meaning of Gong Yi's words. The ninjas of Kurigakure village, the attack they just unleashed also reached a very deadly level. Unfortunately, the effect doesn't seem to be very significant. So they felt that Gong Yi still didn't understand the split dog. After all, they thought so too before. Boom! The sound of vibration came from the front. Everyone looked forward, and all the ninjas in the village of Kurigakure on the battlefield had retreated. And the front has become the battlefield of Kimimaro and the split dogs. Now looking at the white bones that began to appear constantly, people couldn't help feeling chills all over the body. Like bone spurs, they began to rush out from the ground. The split dog, which seemed to be tyrannical before, actually fell into a disadvantage in an instant. Obviously, they, who were still here just now, seemed to have no solution, immediately. Held back by Kimimaro. At the same time, it is very clear that they seem to have encountered a nemesis. Chapter 667. Mistaken Mizukage 3rd. Gong Yi is not surprised by the. Gong Yi naturally knows a lot about split dogs. In the original work, the split dog summoned by Pain's animal Taoism is indeed a very terrifying psychic beast. Because as long as it is attacked, it will split, and the number will become more and more, so it will become more and more difficult to deal with. It's almost as if they're completely incomprehensible, and it's utterly maddening. Don't say that the current Kurigakure village is a little helpless. Even the large-scale ninjutsu used by the three Anbu 3 people when Pain invaded Konoha in memory is helpless. In fact, to deal with such a split dog, there are actually three ways. The first one is, like Jiraiya, directly summoning the stomach of the big toad of Iwajutsu to swallow the split dog directly. Simple and rude, no one left. The second one is, using Amaterasu. I remember that in the original book, after the Fourth Ninja World War started, Itachi once faced Nagato's split dog, and Amaterasu completely solved it with ease and joy. And the last one, that is to attack the main body. Pain animal way that summoned the split dog is directly solved, it will naturally fail. As Gong Yi, who is familiar with Hokage ninjas, these other ninjas seem to be difficult to solve. For him, it wasn't that difficult. Before coming here, Gong Yi told Kimimaro the solution to the split dog. In fact, it is very simple. Although the split dog seems invincible, it can still split after taking damage. But in fact, Gong Yi knows that the split dog is not so inexplicable. A few things, Gong Yi was able to guess. As long as a powerful force is used at one time to destroy it in an instant, then it is impossible for it to split again. What I'm most afraid of is actually such a trivial and innocuous ninjutsu. Attacking it, it's just cooperating with him. Boom boom boom, boom boom. The ground of Kurigakure village began to tremble, and Kimimaro in front of him immediately unleashes the power of Shikatsumyaku, dead bone pulse. Countless huge sharp bone spurs, they skyrocketed wildly. The split dog didn't even have a little room to retreat, and it started to fall into passive. Into a shadow and dodging away. The split dog as the main body has not yet reflected, Kimimaro has come to it. It can be clearly seen that one of Kimimaro's arms has turned into a spiral-shaped white bone spur, which is also a bit amazing. Next second. Even the ninjas in the village of Kurigakure, they still don't understand the moment of Gong Yi's so-called fatal blow. The face-slapping session appeared. All they heard was a muffled bang, and the split dog that had just made them uncomfortable disappeared instantly. And the rest of the split dogs did the same, starting to bang and kept turning into white smoke. Just such a thunderous strike, the scourge that threatened the village of Kurigakure has been eliminated. Some sucked in the cold air. Looking at the front, it seems to be a forest. Gate of the Kurigakure village, countless ninjas in the Kurigakure village have their scalps tingling. This is the disciple handed over by Hokage of the 5th generation. It is very strong. Everyone shows a look of fear towards Kimimaro. Terumi couldn't help but look forward and praised, as expected of the disciple of Lord Hokage, how quickly. Mizukage, your words are serious, and now this kind of psychic beast is a good solution. Gong Yi didn't show the slightest complacent, just smiled very modestly. At the moment didn't think so. A good solution. Hearing Gong Yi's words, they all seemed embarrassed on their faces. You must know who they were just now, but they have been fighting with them for a long time. Although it has the upper hand, there is absolutely no way to effectively solve it. Well, it's far from being as easy as what Gong Yi said now. This will be Kung Fu. With half a second of Kung Fu, there are actually more new generation ninjas in the Kurigakure village, and they still have a lot of curiosity. Just now Gong Yi didn't take any action at all, and completely solved this scourge. It's just his disciple, so what kind of scene will this 5th-generation Hokage really do? A group of new generation ninjas from Kurigakure village came here to support them, and their hearts are full of fantasy. Mizukage, it's settled here now. Gong Yi didn't care about the others. When Kimimaro returned to his side, he looked at Terumi Mei and said, so now it's going to be Kung Fu, what about the Akatsuki members? Hearing Gong Yi finish speaking, Terumi Mei's face couldn't help turning white. Ching, what's going on with the perception team? Now Gong Yi's words made Terumi Mei have a bad feeling in her heart. Although the split dog in front of us has been resolved, it is not the root cause of today's scourge. Akatsuki members who summoned it now, they are the culprits of everything. But this time, they seem to have left silently, without any reaction at all. That the current split dog was defeated, there was no change at all. Terumi Mei's face couldn't help but leave a cold sweat, because she already felt that the more she thought about it, the more wrong she was. Mizukage-sama, I didn't find anything here. I'm here too, Mizukage-sama. The flanks also didn't find the slightest. This time, as Terumi Mei asked loudly, the perception teams all over the place responded one after another. Mizukage, looks like you've made some mistakes. Hearing the reports, Gong Yi shrugged at Terumi Mei with a gloomy face. For Gong Yi, who has known everything for a long time, he is just acting here. Not long ago, Gong Yi could clearly sense that Chakra, who belonged to Pain, had left here. Didn't stay long after he caught the Jinchuriki column force. And he had just arrived here, even though Kimimaro-'s mighty battle was over quickly. Pains who stayed outside must have sensed their presence. So now Nagato is confident and arrogant because of Rinnegan's relationship. But he really wasn't stupid. Now that there are a lot of people in Kurigakure village, plus himself, and at the same time he also has the power of Jinchuriki column in his hands, it is indeed not a good time to fight against himself. It is because of this that it must be the reason why he chose to leave quickly after he caught Jinchuriki column force. But although Gong Yi sensed that he had left, he did not choose to intercept him. Anyway, after that, there's the matter of Jiraiya's side, and it's just a matter of time to kill him. Now that he's gone, Gong Yi also saves his shot here. Well, not bad. Chapter 668. Imagination or Scam. That huge psychic beast has hidden its shape. Seeing that several perception teams had failed, Terumi Mei said in a deep and perplexed voice, if it moves, we can't be unaware at all. Could it be possible that it can grow wings and fly over our heads? The psychic beasts are all kinds of strange. Maybe Mizukage, your guess is correct now. With a helpless smile, Gong Yi looked at Terumi Mei. Now, after the splinter dog, which was channeled from the animal path, was killed, the entire village of Kurigakure was rarely quiet. All around Kurigakure village ninjas, they all looked at Terumi Mei. It seems that they are all waiting for her to carry out the next step. Lord Mizukage, since the split dog here has been resolved by Lord Hokage. Ching walked over and said with some anxiety, then we will stay here for the ninja first, and then immediately out at Jinchuriki column force. Blackstone, you are here to stay with 2 squadrons. Terumi Mei seems to have this intention too. She nodded and looked at Gong Yi. Lord Hokage, let's go to the Terran together first and see. Well. Without any refusal, Gong Yi nodded happily. Anyway, everything is over, I'm just wasting some time. Seeing that Gong Yi didn't say much, Terumi Mei also immediately dodged with a team. Now what is going on in Gong Yi's heart? Terumi Mei's heart is naturally not clear. Her thoughts at the moment are not used here at all, but are all placed on Jinchuriki column force. Under the watchful eyes of the Kurigakure ninjas, Terumi Mei and the others have fled outside the village. Where Jinchuriki column force was transferred was the forbidden area used to seal the Six Tails. Although it is not far from the village of Kurigakure, it is not too close, and it takes a little time. Gong Yi quietly took Kimimaro, followed behind Terumi Mei, and also walked forward. Night, now more gloomy, seems to indicate that it has entered the early morning. Looking up at the sky, it seemed to be covered with thick ink, even more gloomy and dark. A while, Terumi Mei also came to this forbidden place behind Kurigakure village. And other Kurigakure Anbu ninjas, and then watching the Jinchuriki column force safe and sound did not appear. For everyone is a very badly damaged ruin, as well as countless rocks, and corpses. Damn, what's going on? Terumi Mei's face paled in shock when she saw everything that caught her eye. She had just recovered a little bit of blood and had disappeared again. She doesn't seem to want to believe it at all. This is the truth. The battle with the split dog at the gate of Kurigakure village just now took a long time. But that's because it's only a short period of time. Such an accident happened. It seems that you, Mizukage, were deceived by the Akatsuki people. Slowly to Terumi Mei's side, Gong Yi's face. He said coldly, expressionless, I've said before that Akatsuki's group of guys are very strange, so we must take more precautions. Shaking his head, Gong Yi seemed to show regret, but it looks like you are still being deceived. They have already taken away Jinchuriki column. Saying that, Gong Yi pointed to the deep pit ahead. The psychic beast you saw before, it should have deliberately made a loud noise when you were fighting, and then sneaked into the ground, directly bypassing you. Come here. No wonder the perceptive ninjas didn't find them before. Ching clenched his fists, and blue veins appeared all over his face. It turns out that they used the psychic beast that would split to restrain us, then hollowed out the ground, and in turn attacked Anbu, the escort Jinchuriki column force. I was careless. Terumi Mei's face showed complexity, and the whole person seemed to be a little shocked. I didn't expect this guy from Akatsuki, but he didn't even think about fighting us. Originally Terumi Mei was still there at the beginning. I thought that since the members of Akatsuki entered the village of Kurigakure so swaggeringly, they obviously wanted to fight them. And after summoning the split dog, Terumi Mei understands even more. It seems that Akatsuki wants to defeat them first, and then take away the human Jinchuriki column power. But Terumi Mei now knows that it's all an illusion. From the very beginning, their goal was only to fight against them. Terumi Mei's heart is a little bitter. Since taking the position of Mizukage, Terumi Mei actually went smoothly along the way, and there were no major accidents. At the same time, every time she made a decision, there was almost no mistake. Whether it's forging an alliance with Konoha village, befriending Gong Yi, and venturing out inland to build quest points. In the end, all these facts proved that her decision was correct. At this time today, Terumi Mei seems a little hard to accept. Because of my own reasons, it seems that Akatsuki's members succeeded. And their most important person, Jinchuriki column force, was taken away so quietly. Mizukage, don't blame yourself yet. Gong Yi looked at the tragic battlefield ahead, and he said lightly, let's find the survivors first, and then ask about it. Looking at the destroyed surroundings, Gong Yi knew that this should be caused by Pain Heavenly Path's use of the Shinra Tensei Almighty Push sign. Since he didn't completely kill off, then naturally there will still be survivors. Well. Hearing Gong Yi finish saying this, Terumi Mei also recovered and showed a calm face. Ching, bring someone to search for the survivors. Water, Mizukage, Sama. When Ao and a few teams of ninjas were about to leave, a faint voice came from the other side. There are really living ninjas. Ching's side looked over and immediately dodging away from where the sound came from. Came here. Ching looked down at the ninja in front of him. He couldn't even recognize him. Quickly helping him up, Ching said with a worried face, "Changjiro, are you all right?" At this moment, Changjiro was in a state of utter embarrassment. The eyes on his face were already shattered, and the clothes on his body were also damaged. Even the double knife flounder that was still on the ground was clearly covered with cracks under the reflection of the moonlight. Apparently because of them, Chojuro was saved from being killed just now. "Changjiro, what happened?" Terumi couldn't help but secretly breathe a sigh of relief when she saw that Chojuro was still alive. Kurigakure village now has very few top ninjas. Changjiro is a very precious fighting force in her hands. Now that I can see that I have lost a little less, Terumi naturally feels lucky in the misfortune. Chapter 669. Kurigakure Village, Ninja Hospital. So it is. Terumi and Kurigakure village officials frowned. The medical ninjas who came later, after briefly treating Changjiro, sent him to the hospital. On the way, Terumi and others also learned the ins and outs. Everything was as Gong Yi said. Pain directly hollowed out the ground through the green lizards and attacked their entire brigade. Using his powerful strength, he ignored them directly, grabbed the Jinchuriki column forcibly and left. Wait until Nagjiro wakes up, that is, when he sees Terumi and others. But through the first contact with pain now, Changjiro really felt the fear. When he thought of the incredible rebound ninjutsu before, he couldn't help but have lingering fears. He turned his head and looked at the double knife flounder next to him. If it hadn't resisted the force on his behalf. Maybe, you will just die here. With Pain's departure, this thrilling war also came to an abrupt end. All the ninjas in Kurigakure village, in fact, are still in a state of confusion. Because this disaster came quickly, but also went very quickly. Before they recovered from their previous tense state, everything was over. At this moment in the village, most of the people are still there, silent, no one is looking good. The civilians were also sent back in panic, and all began to look around at everything. Front of the gate of Kurigakure village, there are also corpses piled up, and the ninjas of Kurigakure village are arranging the battlefield without saying a word. Although there were no large-scale losses in this sudden battle, there were still many casualties. Looking at the ruins left after the war in front of them, all the ninjas and civilians in the village of Kurigakure were still very sad and resentful. Their previous hatred for Gong Yi has been gradually dispelled, especially because of Gong Yi's assistance these times. That made the people of Kurigakure village completely change their views. Today, when Akatsuki came here recklessly, he succeeded in transferring everyone's hatred to them. Village of Kurigakure, a large group of people already hated Akatsuki. Of course, although there is an unforgettable hatred in the air, it cannot really be released. Because they are still too weak, and they even say that they are unable to compete with this extremely dangerous organization. Even Terumi, she looked sad and kept blaming herself at the same time. Although she has a strong Kekkei Genkei, and now has the strength of a cage-level ninja, she is still unable to protect her villagers. Even because of my own judgment this time. However, even the Jinchuriki column force was captured by Akatsuki like the rest of the village. This made her Mizukage career suffer a lot. After all, as mentioned before, Terumi has been thriving since the Mizukage, and the entire Kurigakure village she led has been thriving. And because of her judgment, Kurigakure village has indeed gained a lot of benefits. It is a pity that at such a critical moment, the village of Kurigakure is moving forward with great fanfare and is constantly developing. Today, Akatsuki's invasion this time gave a very important course for the somewhat proud Kurigakure village ninja and Terumi. Everyone in disguise, most of them immediately after the war ended today. Much awake. Well, at least now Terumi knows that with the strength of her village alone, it is impossible to make a difference. At least today, arrival of Gongyi has made Terumi Mei realize that perhaps only alliances and powerful existences like Konoha Village are the best way to develop Kurigakure Village. Central high-rise, in the Mizukage office. Since it's happened, Mizukage, don't take it too seriously. Sitting in front of Terumi Mei, Gongyi shrugged and comforted. Kurigakure Village as a whole has not been destroyed, which is very fortunate. Indeed, as you said, the interior of Kurigakure Village is at least protected now. Hands on the table, Terumi Mei rubbed her head, but the Jinchuriki column force is here, but they really succeeded. According to my Anbu investigation, Akatsuki's members are now almost dead and wounded. Gongyi smiled and said with intentional or unintentional guidance, now they are basically the leaders of Akatsuki. So, even though you have very strict precautions today, it's actually of no use. Knocking on the table, Gongyi continued, after all, this Akatsuki's leader, his strength is not something that regular ninjas can know. Hokage, what do you mean? All the leaders of Akatsuki who came here today. Hearing this, Terumi Mei raised her head and asked Gongyi in confusion. No, it shouldn't be said that all of them are Akatsuki's leaders. Gongyi shook his head and also looked at Terumi Mei and explained, what you see today should be just one person in general terms. All alone. Terumi Mei's face was even more confused, as if he had heard it wrong. Terumi Mei is naturally investigating the Akatsuki thing now. And members of Akatsuki, such as Uchiha Itachi, Sasori of the Red Sand, and Deidara, etc. She also knows the information of these ninjas. Not only Terumi Mei's Kurigakure Village here, but the rest of Iwagakure Village Onoki, and Sunagakure Village Gara and others, they actually know the same. After all, Gongyi used Sarutobi Hiruzen to spread the word when he was dumped to Akatsuki. At that time, in fact, the ninja continent knew very well about their Akatsuki. Of course, although there is some information, Gongyi also retains a lot of it. It is impossible for him to reveal all of Akatsuki, his master, to the public. That will only make yourself passive and lack chips. So to put it bluntly, the information obtained by the people in the ninja world is actually irrelevant. Especially the information about Nagato, Gongyi didn't reveal much at all. Well, because of this, there are not many people in the entire ninja continent who know Akatsuki and his secrets. Apart from Maskobito and Black-White Zetsu, it should be only me. A pair of dark eyes looked at Terumi Mei. Gongyi did not reveal that she was very surprised. A faint smile appeared. Gongyi knew that Terumi Mei got the news, even though the whole ninja continent was investigating. But it's basically useless. Because what Akatsuki is best at is hiding. Chapter 670, Controlling the Eye of Life and Death. Second. Yes, just one person. Sitting in Mizukage's office, Gongyi nodded and said, you heard that right. How is this possible? Could it be that he used some kind of secret technique similar to the clone technique? Terumi Mei was completely stunned, and her mind was starting to get a little confused. Because of Gongyi's news, she couldn't digest it. From the records of the investigation in Kurigakure Village, the man I saw today. The orange-haired man, he is undoubtedly the leader of Akatsuki. But that woman, according to Gongyi's words, she is also Akatsuki's leader. No, he and they are actually the same person. Actually, Mizukage, you don't know him, it's normal. Gongyi didn't use too many fluctuations, but continued with a smile. Akatsuki's leader is very good at disguising. No one has discovered this secret, and I was only able to fully understand it when I fought against him before, and then through Anbu's investigation. Understand. Nagato is about to become a dead man, and for Gongyi is nothing but an abandoned child, and his role is not very big. Well, because of this, Gongyi doesn't plan to hide his abilities and identity anymore. This secret of Pain 6 Paths doesn't matter after his death. So Gongyi also decided to push the boat, and this time he told Terumi Mei. This disguised form also won her trust, and at the same time won the favor of Kurigakure village. This time Jinchuriki column force from Kurigakure village was captured, so he can start the Five Shadows Conference. Disguise, the general who will lead the coalition army will be elected only after the mutual voting of the Five Shadows. Now that I have passed the unimportant secret of Nagato, it is a good thing to let Terumi-Mei support myself even more. After thinking about it, and simply summing it up, Gongyi has made a decision. The Nagato thing needs to be hidden, but Pain Six Paths is not important. I don't know Hokage, what secrets do you know? At this time, Terumi-Mei was already eager to know after being intoxicated by Gongyi. However, in the end, he was still the ruler of a large ninja village. After Terumi-Mei said these words, she couldn't help coughing, that. I was too anxious just now, if it was about the secrets of your village. I don't need to know Akatsuki. As Mizukage, she didn't know that she was a little too presumptuous just now. Although now the entire ninja continent has entered a period of peace, and her village of Kurigakure has become an ally with the village of Konoha. However, between each village, some external news and intelligence are all top secrets that cannot be leaked. And, every time you get such a crucial piece of information, the loss to the village will be no less. After all, the more important things are, the more sacrifices will be made. Especially when it comes to a breath like Akatsuki, it is even more precious. Actually, when Terumi-Mei thought about it this way, she couldn't help feeling that it was actually very good that Gongyi could tell him these things in a general way. The news about Akatsuki is indeed a very important top secret, especially for their leader. Hearing Terumi-Mei finish saying this, Gongyi touched his chin and said in a deep voice. Wait. Terumi-Mei spoke again. Gongyi seemed to have turned the corner and continued to speak. But since, Mizukage, you have cooperated with my Konoha village and trusted me so much, then for you and me, this top secret of course, I can also tell you the information. Terumi-Mei's heart skipped a beat, and she couldn't help but murmured in a low voice, what about you and me? Not knowing what she was thinking, Terumi-Mei's face showed a rather unnatural look. Can't tell if it's joy, surprise, or a bit of disbelief. But Gongyi's words completely disrupted Terumi-Mei's rhythm. Mizukage. Gongyi naturally heard Terumi-Mei's whisper, but he didn't respond. This time, he just interrupted Terumi-Mei, who was in a daze. Ah, Lord Hokage. Hearing Gongyi's voice, Terumi-Mei looked at Gongyi immediately. Said, since this is the case, then I naturally need the information of the leader of Akatsuki very much. Well, actually speaking in general terms, Akatsuki's leader, he is the owner of Rinnegan, you must have heard of it. Returning to the topic, Gongyi asked lightly. Rinnegan. That's right. I did hear about it. Terumi-Mei thoughtfully, but for these eyes, it should be the supreme pupil that only appears in legends. It seems that you don't know much about Rinnegan, Mizukage. Looking at Terumi-Mei's appearance, Gongyi shook his head and chuckled. Rinnegan, according to my information and ancient books, it is called, the eye that controls life and death. The most sublime pupil power, originated from the ultimate pupil technique from the chakra fruit of the divine tree. Regarding Terumi-Mei, who has not read the original book, Gongyi did not really explain anything to her, but simply explained. Rinnegan simply put it, its owner basically controls yin and yang, and has at least 6 a change in the nature of chakra. With extraordinary abilities, it can be either the god of creation with the ability to create the world, or the god of destruction with the ability to destroy the world. Hey, this is really the eyes of terror. Although I don't know much about it, I can imagine it through Terumi-Mei's knowledge. How terrifying is this guy he faced before? However, after saying this through Gongyi, Terumi-Mei's heart also immediately chill a bit. Because she couldn't help recalling the orange-haired ninja she had fought against before. She seems to also has rippling pupils. Could it be that this is the strongest pupil that is enough to destroy the world, and that she can also have two pairs? There is a look of complete disbelief on her face. Terumi Mei's thoughts reacted very quickly, and now she doesn't know how to describe it. The appearance of a pair of Rinnegan is enough for the entire ninja continent to be jealous. Now if there is another person also has it, the consequences are simply unimaginable. Especially when they all seem to belong to one organization and have the same goals. Hehe, you must have discovered Mizukage. Looking at Terumi Mei's somewhat unnatural look, Gong Yi said with a smile, the reason why I told you about Rinnegan is precisely for the next thing I am going to tell you about the Akatsuki leader. Chapter 671. Gong Yi's Popular Science. This Rinnegan, isn't there some secret in it? After getting these one after another unexpected things, Terumi Mei's pair of beautiful eyes are full of doubts. Now she is like an ignorant little girl, waiting for Gong Yi's explanation. Now one of Rinnegan's abilities is to manipulate corpses. What manipulating corpses? Terumi Mei's face changed drastically, and she seemed unwilling to believe this. That can enslave corpses in the ninja continent. There are also forbidden techniques like impure world reincarnation. So if it's just that, it's not too shocking. But now that it's about Rinnegan's ability, it's a little scary. Can manipulate the eyes of a corpse. Terumi Mei can't even think about it. After I learned the news, and it was finally confirmed. Looking at Terumi Mei's discolored face, Gong Yi continued with a smile, actually, I couldn't believe it at first, but it's the truth. You mean we met that female ninja who uses psychics? She's just a corpse. Gradually reacting, Terumi Mei asked. As you can guess, she is indeed a corpse. Gong Yi nodded, and he responded, I think you can understand by the Rinnegan on her eyes. And I have sent someone to investigate the information about this ninja before. Table, he seemed to have guessed that Terumi Mei couldn't believe it. Gong Yi said again, if I remember correctly, her name is Hydrangea, she is a genin from a Megakure village, and she was a candidate for the second Chunin selection exam. And then succeeded in being promoted to Chunin, and was killed in the next level mission. Looking at Terumi Mei's already frowning face, Gong Yi smiled. Through these all kinds of records, I didn't get that she has Rinnegan's existence. No, it should be said that she should have been a placeholder. It's the body in the coffin. I was confused before, why there are two pairs of Rinnegan. Lord Hokage, you said this, I can already think of it. Silent for a long time, Terumi Mei seemed to have started to think before and after, with a look of sudden realization on her face. Well, because of this, not only do they have the same vision, but they don't need to communicate to know each other's thoughts. Without explaining too much, Gong Yi just added, that's why, I think before they did not need to communicate, they could work together perfectly, because they are one body and naturally do not need to communicate. After all, even consciousness is alone. Damn, no wonder he has such an ability to command a dangerous missing nin. Terumi Mei clenched her fists and seemed to say a little, it turns out that he is relying on Rinnegan's power. Well, like this corpse, he has a total of 555. Gong Yi didn't tell the truth, just blended his own thoughts and made up his own words. With the main body you see in Mizukage today as the core, he can control 555 corpses by himself, and each of them has different abilities. Different. I knew Akatsuki completely when they invaded my Konoha village. Smile, Gong Yi still stayed behind about Nagato. Because talking about this now is basically a waste of words. Just tell Pain's secret and that's enough. Of course, Gong Yi himself knew the real situation. These Pain 6 paths are naturally all corpses controlled by Nagato using Rinnegan's ability. As for the main body Yahiko, he said, he is just Nagato's close friend and has no self-awareness. And Pain 6 paths, they simply put it, is a puppet ninja transformed from the corpses of the 6 dead. Each Pain's face and body are plugged with black rods that can connect signals, conduct chakra, nail-shaped chakra receivers, plus 666 pane can share the line of sight Rinnegan common. Even if the enemy goes around one of the pane's back, the other pane will also monitor the enemy, and what the pane in the back sees is what the pane in front sees. Not only that, but every pane has one of Rinnegan's abilities. As for this seemingly inconspicuous chakra black stick, Gongyi knew that it was also a very important thing. As a chakra receiver to manipulate mental energy, it was the most important channel for Nagato to control pain. And this chakra black stick, it can also be used as a weapon. Just by injecting its own chakra, it can play the role of the chakra of the person who is chaotically penetrated. But these things, although Gongyi knew clearly in his heart, but he did not talk to Terumi-mei. This situation, it was enough for her to understand pain's 6 paths. Furthermore, Gongyi can also clearly know that once something is too detailed, it will actually make people think it is fake. I just briefly integrated the implementation, and these random nonsense. In fact, it can convince Terumi-mei. Of course, whether she believes it or not, it doesn't really matter to Gongyi. And now I am going to tell Terumi-mei all this, just so that she can respond more positively in the future. Of one more person is better for my next plan. Actually there are actually 5 of them. I heard Gongyi, popular science, here. Over, Terumi-mei was silent for a while and said aloud. The current Terumi-mei, she doesn't know if she should say that she is lucky. After all, the leader of Akatsuki only brought a guy controlled by Rinnegan, and made it so difficult for him and others to fight. If the rest of the 5 corpses are really brought, then waiting for oneself. Wouldn't it be a catastrophic consequence? The ruined ruins at the gate of Kurigakure village before, Terumi-mei's heart is complicated. She didn't know that she should hang her heart and be alert to what might happen next. Should still breathe a sigh of relief, thinking that it is fortunate that Akatsuki did not want to destroy the village of Kurigakure. Well, because of this, I have actually thought of a plan for the next. Seeing that it was almost time, Gongyi said straight to the point. I wonder if Mizukage, are you interested in listening? Lord Hokage, say it. Now that the matter has come to an end, Terumi-mei also feels that she has no choice, but responds happily. Chapter 672. Attack as Defense. Chapter 4. The gray-blue sky gradually faded from overhead. Sky, the dawn of Fish-Ma White gradually appeared. The silent night is gone, replaced by a new day full of life. Konoha village, inside the Hokage office. Dawn, Gongyi had already returned here. Gongyi didn't stay long after talking with Terumi-mei, the 5th generation of Mizukage. Now, although pain hasn't destroyed it too badly, it's not much better. The entrance in front has been in ruins, and there are a lot of ninja casualties, plus the loss of Jinchuriki column power and so on. Everything needs to be handled by Terumi-mei alone. This way, after discussing his own plan with Terumi-mei, Gongyi immediately left. As for telling Terumi-mei the news, and then taking the opportunity to say what she planned, it was naturally very successful. In fact, there is nothing special about this plan, and it is not the most important thing in my heart. It is only about the opening of the 5 Shadows Conference. Well, now that the Jinchuriki column force from Kurigakure village has been captured, it will be known to the entire ninja continent within a day. Therefore, Terumi-mei will naturally agree with the matter on her side, and she actually intends to do so. However, her role in it is only corresponding. The caller this time must be himself. Because now the whole initiative, Gongyi already has the master in his hands. Lord Hokage, you are looking for me. Knocking on the door and entering, Nara Shikaku's voice came. Looking up, Gongyi looked at him and nodded. Mr. Shikaku, I called you over so early, I have something to tell you. Sir Hokage, you said. Standing in front of Gongyi, Nara Shikaku showed a look of listening intently. Now, he has not shown impatience because of poor rest and so on. For a number of reasons. A military advisor to several generations of Hokage, he is also the think tank of Konoha village. Nara Shikaku doesn't have any bad habits, all of them are devoted to Hokage. Just last night I went to the village of Kurigakure. A trip to Kurigakure village. Well, Nara Shikaku was puzzled and didn't seem to understand very well. Hokage-sama, I don't know where Kurigakure village is. Their six-tailed Jinchuriki column force was captured. There is nothing to hide. Gangyi starts from the beginning. Last night, when I was about to leave, I received a ninja pigeon from Mizukage in Kurigakure village, and the leader of Akatsuki came to Kurigakure village himself, just to capture their people Jinchuiki column force. Saying that, shrugging, Gangyi revealed, but when I reached the village of Kurigakure, the whole battle was almost over, and the leader of Akatsuki had already succeeded. Damn. Didn't take long, and after listening to Gangyi's simple words, Nara Shikaku's face showed an unprecedented seriousness. It was a little bit there before, the leisurely look has completely disappeared. Nara Shikaku put both hands on the table, looked at Gangyi and said solemnly, Lord Hokage, it seems that we should bring Naruto back from Mount Myoboku. The current Nara Shikaku, naturally, is not filled with righteous indignation because of the fact that the tailed beast was taken from the village of Kurigakure. Now he is more worried about Konoha village. Through Sunagakure village, Kumogakure village, Iwagakure village, etc. Things, how can Nara Shikaku not analyze? Now, when Gangyi told himself what happened to Kurigakure village, his heart sank even more. So far, all the villages known to have tailed beasts. Only Konoha village is left. Without even thinking about it, Akatsuki's next target is likely to be them. No, it must be the cubey nine-tails Jinchuriki column Naruto in their Konoha village. Naturally, Nara Shikaku knew about Akatsuki's situation. Nara Shikaku had thoroughly analyzed them when they came to attack Konoha village. Without Gangyi, the loss of their Konoha village would be incalculable. So now for Nara Shikaku, he is very reluctant for such a thing to happen. And Nara Shikaku began to feel the endless threat. The end, he was someone in the Konoha village who was highly valued by Hokage, and Nara Shikaku thought of a lot of things in an instant. Now that Naruto is practicing at Mount Myoboku, it's actually safe. Already aware of Nara Shikaku's concerns, Gangyi said lightly, but when this practice is over, I will let him return to the village. Wait until the practice is over. Nara Shikaku showed confusion. He didn't seem to know what Akatsuki Gangyi was going to do. Lord Hokage, shouldn't we need to completely protect Naruto now? Shikaku-sensei, you really think too much. Shaking his head, Gangyi slowly opened his mouth and said, pure protection is useless. The defensive measures of Iwagakure village and Kurigakure village, don't you think they are not strict? Especially, that guy Onoki, he doesn't even know how many Anbu ninjas he dispatched. Having said this on his face, Gangyi showed a sarcastic smile. He even sent his own son to take charge, but in the end, it didn't have any effect at all. Instead, Iwagakure village's resources were wasted. Seeing that Nara Shikaku did not speak, Gangyi continued, the same is true even for the village of Kurigakure, and the final result is easy to see. Shikaku-sensei, you have all been misled by Akatsuki unknowingly. The smile on his face faded away, and Gangyi said this and stood up. It's pointless to simply protect the Jinchuriki column force and send ninjas to defend the village. He came to Nara Shikaku's side. Gangyi patted him on the shoulder. Master Shikaku, if you really want to resist all this from happening, you have to look for the source, and the source is Akatsuki. Putting his hands down, Gangyi paused as he spoke, then resumed his smile and continued, so the only way to get rid of Akatsuki is to get rid of it perfectly. As for the protection of Jinchuriki column, it's the way of cowards. We need to break the mind of the ninja continent at the moment, start first to be strong, and attack as defense. Thinking about it for a long time, Gangyi looked at Nara Shikaku and said solemnly, so I have now decided on another very important plan. As long as this plan goes well, we may be able to completely wipe out Akatsuki. Chapter 673. The Strongest Demonic Illusion. Lord Hokage, what you said makes sense. Listening to Gongyi say this, Nara Shikaku did not refute anything. He turned to look at Gongyi and continued, I don't know what is your next plan now, Lord Hokage. The plan is simple. Sitting on the big chair of Hokage again, Gongyi said, now I'm going to spread the news about the Jinchuriki column force who was arrested in Kurigakure village. And with Akatsuki's side, we have to hype up their harm. I see what you mean, Lord Hokage. Nara Shikaku nodded, as if he had guessed something in his mind. No, Shikaku-sensei, these things are not the main thing. Not the main. Yes, what I really want is to prepare to start the Five Shadows Conference. Having said that, Gongyi has no need to hide anything. Meanwhile, the time has come. There is not much time left, and now the tailed beasts that Akatsuki can catch are basically all in hand. The rest of the three-tailed Isofu, the four-tailed Sun Wukong, and the cubit nine-tails Kurama are all under their control. That there are enough chips, Gongyi will naturally not hesitate anymore. And Gongyi is very clear that because of his appearance, there seems to be some kind of change in the Fourth Ninja War. The Five Shadows Conference was supposed to start, but it was started by the fourth generation of Raikage after the disappearance of Killer Bee. But because of their own intervention, it seems that there is no such news in the ninja world, but they are still defending their own villages. Well, because of this, Gongyi decided to activate it on his own initiative. And, because it was planned from the beginning, Gongyi also has enough initiative. Therefore, the opening of the Five Shadows Conference is very important. Five Shadows Conference. Nara Shikaku complexion immediately. It seemed that there was no response at all. He thought of a lot of things, but he didn't think of it at all. Gongyi actually wanted to hold the Five Shadows Conference. Yes, that's exactly what I meant. Gongyi nodded and said with a smile, now in this situation, we must join forces with the rest of the ninja village to defeat Akatsuki. Now that Akatsuki is catching tailed beasts recklessly, and it has evolved into such an unscrupulous situation, I think the whole of the entire ninja continent is a huge threat. Prepared his speech, Gongyi looked at Nara Shikaku. Our Konoha village is strong, but of course we can't take the place of the other Omura and lose the ninja against the Akatsuki group. So, since everyone knows Akatsuki's threat, confrontation is naturally the best way. Now Gongyi wants to hold the Five Shadows meeting, except Kimimaro and Hyuga Neji know about it, the rest of them don't know at all. Especially Nara Shikaku. Although he has been by Gongyi's side for a long time, he is completely unaware of everything about Gongyi. Of course, now Gongyi's ultimate plan did not choose to tell Nara Shikaku at this time. Although Nara Shikaku, he is the person in charge of one of his plans later. But it's not the time yet. When the matter on Nagato's side is settled, and the cooperation with Mask Obito is finalized, go and have a good talk with Nara Shikaku. As for success or not, it doesn't really matter. After all, Gongyi still has trump cards. Even if Nara Shikaku doesn't agree, he still has a solution and doesn't want to worry. While carrying out all the plans, Gongyi naturally won't do things purely on the basis of his mood. He still has Uchiha Shisui's Mangekyo Sharingan, and his Mangekyo Sharingan's ability is very scary, Kotoamatsukami. As the name suggests, Gongyi remembers Kotoamatsukami, the Baitian god, from dwarf mythology, which is the general name of the five gods who created the heaven and the earth, and is also called the Five Gods of Jinchuiki column. And Kotoamatsukami, also known as the strongest demonic illusion in the Hokage world. Its function is not to destroy the world, it has only one effect. That is to make the caster unknowingly be controlled and change his will, and the person who is recruited will not even feel that he is being manipulated. It's such a simple ability, but it all reveals its horror. It can make the casters will be changed directly without knowing the ghost. Well, if you think about it, you can see that this is really a Mangekyo Sharingan ability that is terrifying. This eye was taken from Danzo on the night of the Uchiha clan's extermination. I didn't expect it to be dazzling, and I actually need to use it one day. At the time, Gongyi clearly remembered that he wanted to take Mangekyo Sharingan just to see what was on the stone tablet. But looking at it this way, the decision I made at the beginning really facilitated today's plan. Gongyi had already made up his mind that if Nara Shikaku did not agree with his plan, he would use Uchiha Shisui's Mangekyo Sharingan to directly impose Koto Amatsukami on him, and then change his will. I have been deploying a plan for many years. Naturally, I cannot lose the whole game because of a mistake in Nara Shikaku. That is the most unacceptable thing for Gongyi. Therefore, Gongyi has already made a decision. He will immediately launch Koto Amatsukami of Uchiha Shisui. Here, Nara Shikaku, who still doesn't know Gongyi's real purpose, is still putting his hand on his chin and nodding gropingly. Lord Hokage, your plan is indeed very feasible. The situation on Akatsuki's side is tricky, but we really can't block the sword for the rest of the ninja village and then lose a lot. For Nara Shikaku, he naturally has his own principle, that is, the preservation of Konoha village. Although he is completely kind to the people of Konoha village and thinks very well for those ninja villages outside, Nara Shikaku would not care. After all, the ninja continent is extremely cruel, and Nara Shikaku knows this too well. How could he think about the enemy, and what to think about it? Nara Shikaku didn't take the initiative to calculate them. In fact, it was already very good, and he was honest enough. Of course, unknowingly, Nara Shikaku was actually led by Gongyi for a long time. He actually doesn't have much affection for these ninja villages in the ninja world. Gongyi deliberately created before, as well as the various messages spread by Kimimaro and others. Already invisible, most of the ninjas in Konoha village hated the rest of the ninjas outside. After all, in the previous series of wars, everyone has suffered and lost family members. Chapter 674. Well, Shikaku-sensei, looks like you already understand what I mean. Seeing Nara Shikaku's appearance, Gongyi's face nodded with a smile. As a think tank strategist, Gongyi really appreciates Nara Shikaku very much. Basically, there are a lot of things about himself, as long as he simply points them out, he can always think of them. This is undoubtedly a disguised form, and it also makes oneself less wasteful. Then I'll do it right now. Go do it. Nara Shikaku nodded thoughtfully, and responded immediately. Okay, you can go and spread this thing out now. Continuing to nod and wait, Nara Shikaku spoke, and Gongyi opened his mouth to remind, but Shikaku-sensei, you only need to be in charge of the Kurigakure village. As for the Five Shadows Conference, now is not the best time to hold it. Lord Hokage, what do you mean? Hearing Gongyi's twist, Nara Shikaku's expression also showed confusion. Gongyi just said that all this is just to hold the Five Shadows Conference. Now, it seems that he doesn't let himself talk about this matter for a while. Nara Shikaku doesn't quite understand what Gongyi wants to do. Now that Jinchuriki column force from Kurigakure village has just been captured, we will immediately hold the Five Shadows Conference, which is too obvious. To see Nara Shikaku's puzzlement, Gongyi explained, so, it's not too late for us to convene after the incident in Kurigakure village has passed, leaving time for the rest of Omura to think about it. Table with his hand, Gongyi smiled and looked at Nara Shikaku. At that time, I will personally go to the Land of Fire to meet the daimyo, and in his name, I will officially issue a request for the opening of the meeting to the daimyo of the other 4 countries. At that time, with the shadow of the rest of the ninja Omura, I don't think they will sit still, and the whole thing will naturally follow suit. Well, in this case, it is much better than having a meeting here after taking advantage of the incident in Kurigakure village. So it is. Nara Shikaku showed a thoughtful look and nodded. Then I will deal with the Kurigakure village first, immediately. Spread it out and talk about it. The rest, follow your plan, Lord Hokage. A brief summary, Nara Shikaku still has no problems. Touching his chin, he felt that this was the best way. After all, the Five Shadows Conference is not something that can be held just by thinking about it. In the ninja world seems to be in harmony with each other, they have entered an era of peace together. But for each other, that is still very strict precautions, no one has put down their guard against them. In such a tense situation, it is not easy to really start the Five Shadows Conference. If there is a shadow negative, then it cannot be held. Well, that's how it is. Gong Yi is constantly making progress. 55s in the entire ninja continent are basically developing in an orderly manner. If it wasn't for Akatsuki's sudden attack and snatching their tailed beasts, it is estimated that no ninja village would take the initiative to emerge. Even in the Sunagakure village at the beginning, their one-tailed man Jinchuiki, column force Gaara was captured, and the rest of the ninjas were ignored. Although they may know Akatsuki's goal in their hearts, they have not affected their village, and no one wants to go into this muddy water. Basically, when Gaara called on all the ninja villages to join forces, only Gong Yi, who had a goal in mind, responded to them. As for other ninja villages, they pretended to be dead, they were disdainful, and they were more of a mockery. But dazzling, in this situation, when all the ninja villages were attacked by Akatsuki. They have already smelled danger, and at the same time they feel that they are not safe. So, now they are slowly starting to think about Gaara's request to join forces. At the same time, in the current Konoha village, Gong Yi also took the initiative to spread the news. And Kurigakure village also responded positively. Iwagakure village and Kumogakure village are aware of it. So Gong Yi knew that in a short time, they would naturally understand that the hatred now is not between the village and the village, but with Akatsuki. In the blink of an eye, days passed. For a whole number of days, the entire ninja continent has once again ushered in a new round of heavy lifting. The news spread quietly from the Konoha village on Gong Yi's side is like a huge heavy stone. It is mercilessly thrown into it, and it will once again create an uproar in the just calm lake of the ninja world continent. The leader of Akatsuki personally took action and captured Jinchuiki, column, a villager of Kurigakure. Mizukage Terumi led the ninja rebellion and suffered heavy losses. Under a series of news, all the ninja Omura already knew about this. All of them have begun to feel a situation where the storm is about to come and the building is full of wind. Especially in Iwagakure village, Kumogakure village, etc. Large-scale ninja villages suddenly feel that they are already a little difficult to protect themselves. Because Akatsuki captures tailed beasts, they have a strong goal. Tailed beasts are the things that all ninjas fear. They are also the strongest weapons in the ninja Omura that shock the outside world. Now that Akatsuki has taken them all, no one will think they are just for collection. Gong Yi's conspiracy theories also spread a lot, and everyone in the ninja village, regardless of the shadows or high-level officials, began to worry. Akatsuki maybe, they're preparing some kind of untold secret. And now the people in the ninja continent may still be trapped in the valley, and they don't know it at all. This is not good news. The major ninja villages have been sending orders to start sending ninjas out to inquire about Akatsuki. And in the entire ninja continent, almost all the ninja villages are looking for them as much as possible. Sadly, it doesn't seem to have any effect at all. Akatsuki is still rampant, and his unbridled claws, Kiba, are fully exposed. Gong Yi seems to have killed several members of Akatsuki. But obviously they couldn't stop their pace at all. Especially after the incident in Kurigakure village, everyone felt that Akatsuki suddenly became more aggressive. After all, even the leader of Akatsuki, who has Rinnegan, appeared in person. The wind whistled by. In this extremely cold weather, the entire ninja continent seems to have entered a kind of shaking. There is an indescribable seriousness in the surrounding atmosphere at this moment. Chapter 675. Considerations of the Three Generations of Tsuchikage. Ninja Continent, Iwagakure Village. Lord Tsuchikage, what are you going to do next? Big and tall Lois, he asked Onoki from his desk. Now that the tailed beasts of Kurigakure village have also been taken away, then only the Kyubi, Nine-Tails people of Konoha village, Jinchuriki column power, are left. Onoki slowly closed the document in his hand, his face was expressionless at the moment. Now Onoki, as if people can't see any joys and sorrows. But soon, when Lois finished saying this. After that, his face gradually became solemn. This Akatsuki, what are they trying to do? I don't know, but from the point of view of their collection of tailed beasts, it doesn't seem to be very simple. Hearing this, Lois spread his hands and analyzed helplessly. Since Akatsuki has entered the ninja village so unscrupulously, it is for the sake of Jinchuriki column strength, and it is estimated that the final moment is undoubtedly reached. Hearing this, Onoki snorted softly, HMPH, this damn Akatsuki. Lord Tsuchikage, should we now consider the previous Konoha Village Alliance proposal? After thinking about it, Lois asked aloud at this time. Matter has come to this point, and those who can see the situation clearly are also considering these things. Also not expected by Gong Yi, what happened in Kurigakure village was like a wake-up call, ringing for them once again. Alliance. Onoki fell silent again, apparently thinking in his head. A long time, Onoki glanced behind him. Yamazaki, tell me your opinion. Lord Tsuchikage, I think it's best to observe it for a while, and if it's really necessary, I think it's the best choice to join forces with Konoha village. The man standing behind Onoki is wearing an Iwagakure village Anbu battle uniform with a black totem painted on his face. Yamazaki Akashi, he was the existence created by Gong Yi using his divine avatar. Now over time, he has been fully reused by Onoki. Almost now Anbu in the village of Iwagakure is even under his full control. Recent years, Onoki has been very optimistic about him due to his great strength and outstanding talent. Even this time, he kept him by his side. Well, invisibly, Gong Yi's plan was also fully realized. At this moment, he has completely entered the core level of Iwagakure village. Who is good at concealing disguise, makes Onoki see the slightest flaw. Even this will be kung fu, Onoki asked him about such an alliance. It can be seen from this that I really appreciate the village of Iwagakure at the moment. There are not many ninjas who can really have a powerful appearance. At least Onoki thinks that behind him, Captain Anbu, should be the best candidate. After Gong Yi's initial strengthening, and with the ability of Sharingan, the mission completion rate of the avatar of the consciousness is the highest in the entire Iwagakure village. And because of his very calm personality, Onoki really values him very much. Although he has no intention to cultivate the avatar of divine consciousness into Tsuchikage, he is also completely classified as a confidant. Over here. Like the relationship between Namikaze Minato and Kakashi in the original book, it's very subtle. Of course, Onoki naturally has his own abacus in his heart. After all, he has his own son Lois. Tsuchikage is the core of power, and he naturally hopes that it is his own people who can inherit this position. This has nothing to do with ability. In the ninja continent, such things are very common. However, at the moment, the voice of the consciousness clone in Iwagakure village is very good, and at the same time, there are spies arranged by Gong Yi to interfere. A while, it also made Onoki difficult to ride a tiger, and is currently trying his best to maintain a very calm state. Well, it does need to be observed for a while now. Hearing Yamazaki finish, Onoki couldn't help but nodded. Let's just summarize it now. Thinking about it for a while, Onoki looked at Lois. I think the alliance requirements you mentioned are worth considering, but we need to discuss and observe for a while before making a final decision. There is some caution in the end, although the villages of Sunagakure and Kurigakure have been allied with the villages of Konoha. However, Onoki did not immediately make up your mind. The existence in the ninja continent, their relationship with each other is actually very tense. Especially the current Iwagakure village, their development is actually very good. They suffered little to no traumatic loss other than the loss of human Jinchuriki column force. Not as awkward as the villages of Sunagakure, Kumogakure, and Kurigakure. After all, the strongest Kazekage died in Sunagakure village, and the ninja power is even more difficult to make a difference. In Kumogakure village, the two people who were able to master the tailed beast, Jinchuriki column, all died, and even the fourth generation of Hokage was still the same. According to the news, Reikage in Kumogakure village is still acting as an agent, and no suitable controller has been selected yet. Needless to say, Kurigakure has been destroyed many times before and after, and although he breathed a sigh of relief at this moment, it was not much better. The 5 major ninja villages, apart from Konoha village, only Iwagakure village is the most powerful. In fact, it is precisely because of this that Onoki will not easily choose to join forces with Gongyi. Once he really chooses an alliance, then Onoki knows that he will be very passive. He has dealt with Gongyi several times before, and he naturally knows that this 5th generation Hokage is very strong. Well, that's it. Onoki is also very worried about what will happen next if he really agrees to the current situation on Akatsuki's side. Onoki has to start thinking about an alliance with. After all, the leader of Akatsuki, his strength is also very strange, and at the same time he has collected so many tailed beasts. If the attack really happened, Onoki didn't think that he would be able to defeat him with his old age. If he was young and strong, maybe he would really bite Kiba and not use anyone's hand. But he had already stepped into the coffin with one foot, which made him have to think about something after that. Therefore, now Onoki's mind is actually quite complicated. What happened in Kurigakure village this time really made him have to think about it and choose to respond to Gongyi's alliance request. After all, if the cooperation is real, it will actually provide a powerful foreign aid for Iwagakure village. After all, Gongyi's strength is obvious to all. Chapter 676. Hidan's Evil God Sect. Outside Konoha village, the leader of the palace. In the entire ninja continent, because the Kurigakure village was taken away from the Jinchuriki column power, there was an uproar and everyone was in danger, but Gongyi was not affected in the slightest. He is now in his laboratory, quietly studying. Looking ahead, there are large and small utensils on the table in front of Gongyi. Some of them are filled with unknown liquid, and some are bubbling, white steam. At this moment had already been enchanted by Gongyi. These rare few days of free time, Gongyi didn't care about everything in the ninja continent. He is now fully devoting his mind to research. I saw that his subordinate was a piece of meat, and he quickly used a scalpel-like ninja tool to slowly cut it into pieces. Gongyi took one of the test tubes containing the orangutan yuhi liquid, and then used a needle to extract a little bit and injected it directly into the meat slices. That's right, Gongyi's ongoing experiment is about immortality and recovery. This piece of meat is naturally cut from Hidan's body, and the liquid of gorilla yuhi is drawn from Karen's body. Gongyi has actually done some simple research on Hidan's body before. The results obtained are not very many. Gongyi is actually quite interested in his immortality. This ability is the best and perfect match for practicing forbidden technique. If you can get such an ability, Gongyi has a lot of forbidden techniques that you can use. After all, there is a strong enough ability to support, and the associated risks are also very small. Well, when Gongyi started his research, he actually briefly investigated Hidan's experience. But it's almost the same as what I know in the original book. Hidan, who was born in a village that forgets the war. In the so-called Tengyun village. Soup Ninja Village. It is a village whose combat power has diminished with the disappearance of the war, but it is also a village rich in natural resources. Hidan, who was born as a ninja, is very eager to fight, so he is dissatisfied with the pacifist Soup Ninja Village. So I started to pay attention to the emerging religion, Cthulhu. This evil god. Its purpose is to kill everyone around. Invisibly, through the follow-up, we can know that this evil god religion. The teachings are full of affirmation of Hidan's will. So Hidan, after killing all the so-called pacifist ninjas, became missing nin. However, Gongyi has no interest in Hidan's life and story. Reason why he sent Anbu was to investigate Hidan's affairs. Of the reasons is, to be 100% sure, the source of his immortal body. However, as he expected, the ability to fly immortal is not innate. He was an ordinary ninja before he joined the cult. However, it was only later that it was used by its followers to do experiments, and this was how the body of immortality was obtained. And Hidan may also be the only successful example of this. Well, when Gongyi was able to confirm this matter, he also tried to find this evil god. But unfortunately, he was himself, and he didn't find any trace of them at all. It's like this evil god disappeared in the ninja continent. Therefore, the idea of using their hands to implement their own plans is not enough. Gongyi guessed that the cult should have been secretly destroyed. After all, their methods and actions must have seriously threatened the rule of the five great powers. So Hidan should be said to be a survivor, and the rest of the evil gods have no such luck. After all, the bloody suppression by the five major powers is not something that ordinary people can escape. About the evil gods in the original book didn't actually appear, so Gongyi didn't dare to be really sure. However, through some clues, he can actually confirm his conjecture, and it seems that this evil god religion does not exist anymore. As for Karen, in fact, her blood is something Gongyi has never understood. She seems to be like a moving medicine bottle, and I have to say, the effect is really remarkable. Is probably the only one in the entire ninja continent who can possess Karen's ability. It looks like it failed again. Looking at the experiment on the table, Gongyi regained his senses and shook his head. Through these days of research, he didn't figure out Karen's blood problem. As for Hidan's immortality, most of them were previously imagined. Is an unknown cell body in his body, not some mysterious power, nor is it produced by the curse mark. Gongyi has not figured out its essence. But it is this unknown cell that allows Hidan to achieve the so-called immortality ability. Under normal circumstances, the human body will die naturally after the head is cut off. After the hands and feet are cut off, it is also difficult to use normal methods to restore. The same death phenomenon occurs even because of the bleeding from the wound. But with Hidan's body, it doesn't do that. Because after a single body is cut off, it can still be active. The special cells in it will continue to operate, thus maintaining the vitality of the body. As long as they are re-stitched, then these unknown cells will gradually fuse, and finally create a link again. That is the case, so because of the speciality of cells, this also creates Hidan's immortality. In fact, Gongyi also once thought of using secret techniques to deprive Hidan of cells in his body, and then using replication and regeneration to cultivate them, and then inject them into the human body. However, such methods are also completely premature, because although there are secret techniques that can extract cells, they will die quickly outside. Even with Karen's resilient blood, it doesn't help at all. Therefore, the idea of Gongyi can only be completely rejected once again. The final current result, it is very likely that in Hidan's body, Gongyi believes that there is some substance that can cater to this unknown cell. This can also explain why only Hidan survived successfully in the end and got this ability. I have to say, sometimes, in this case, the people who can claim success are indeed people gifted by God. Ah! Shaking his head, he showed a smile. Although it took a few days, it seemed that the bamboo basket was empty at once. But Gong Yi was not without gains, he naturally understood something. Regarding cell research, he felt that he might be able to create a special thing through this experience. Chapter 677. Nagato's Secret. Inside the dark cave. On a huge human-shaped statue, several people are standing at the moment. Looking down at the bird, the statue looks like dead wood, like a tree that has no life. But if you look closely, it is a human figure with a big mouth open. Among them were 4 of them, 4, standing on the huge fingers it extended. The buzzing power fluctuated, filling the entire cave. Jinchuriki column-like spikes behind it, as well as the 9 eyes that gradually open, represent its identity. 10 Tails Husk, Geto Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path. In the quiet cave at this moment, there is no movement other than the clamor of power. I saw Geto Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path, opening its mouth, and it was absorbing the power of the tailed beast. Front of it, the 6-tailed Jinchuriki column force of Kurigakure village, she has opened by a Kugan, and her mouth is equally open. Her whole body was constantly convulsing, and obviously the tailed beast was forcibly pulled out, and there would also be a very unbearable pain. Time is fast. This kind of pain didn't last long. Geto Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path, had closed her mouth, and she had no vital signs at all. It's finally over. Seeing Geto Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path, the 6 opened eyes gradually closed, and Ju said with a sigh of relief, what a waste of time. Now that there are no members, there is nothing I can do about it. Conan looked away, and she said lightly. Under the current circumstances, it is no longer possible to recruit members. Pain Heavenly Path's face was expressionless, the shadow that belonged to him kept flashing. Obviously, in disguise, he is also telling the mask Obito in front of him, and Ju, that this situation will continue until the end. Ah, well I see. Belonging to White Zetsu came out, and he shrugged his shoulders in a helpless tone. When the 6-tailed Jinchuriki column force was captured by Pain, they have been sealing it. This has only just been done until today. Now that we have successfully obtained the 6-tailed beast, our plan will not be long before it can be truly completed. Mask Obito said slowly in a deep voice. But in the next second, the mask Obito looked at Pain Heavenly Path and continued to speak, but the 4 tails failed to capture and encounter the 5th generation of Hokage. It seems that we need a little more trouble. I've already said that this Orochimaru's subordinate now has no meaning worthy of control. Pain Heavenly Path said coldly, it turns out that the original idea was completely correct. Yeah, this guy is really unreliable. Black Zetsu nodded and seemed to agree with Pain Heavenly Path's words. At the beginning, there was no way. It has been resurrected. If you don't catch it and recycle it, it will be discovered by the rest of the ninja village. Hear Pain Yuju's, Tukao. Mask Obito didn't get angry, he just said coldly, it's just that I never imagined that 5 generations of Hokage would actually choose to really oppose us. He's killed so many of our Akatsuki members, do you think he'll be able to sit still? Conan looked at the mask Obito and said thoughtfully, now he may have gradually guessed that if we really want us to succeed, he will naturally be the first to suffer. What if you don't complete the plan? Pain Heavenly Path is like a god who has separated from human beings. He did not show any emotion, just said lightly, it's okay if the 4 tails are taken away by him. When I recover QB 9 tails, I only need to catch them all at once, otherwise it will be fine. Quote. Mask Obito nodded silently. With a complicated look, he looked at Pain now, the matter of the 5 generations of Hokage, I will trouble you. As for Sanwei, who has no news, I will continue to investigate. If that's the case, then I'll prepare first. Soon as the mask Obito finished speaking, Pain Heavenly Path nodded, and then the whole person's figure immediately disappeared. Following this, Konan and Geto Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path, also disappeared. A bang, white smoke exploded and filled the surroundings. The cave of Nuoda, only the figure belonging to Ju and the mask Obito remained. You continue to monitor him, don't take it lightly. Moment of silence, the mask Obito looked at Ju and said lightly, although the 5th generation of Hokage seems to have been developing the village, I have begun to feel that I can't see through his strength. A thoughtful look on the face behind the mask, Mask Obito continued, so by virtue of Nagato's character, he is likely to underestimate the enemy. In this case, it is very likely to create obstacles to the plan. You can only be optimistic about him. Is the key. You think there's a good chance Nagato will die in Konoha? No, now with Nagato's words, if he wants to leave, the 5 generations of Hokage probably won't be able to keep him. Shaking his head, the mask Obito seemed to say confidently, after all, he is just manipulating the corpse behind the scenes. How could the 5th generation of Hokage know this? Now this will be Kung Fu. Many things that Gong Yi knows, Mask Obito doesn't know at all. Even he is still, think Gong Yi is nothing more than a frog in the bottom of a well. Well, after all, no one knows the existence of Pain's 6 paths, let alone Nagato. Most of the information about Akatsuki circulating throughout the ninja continent is actually correct. But only about Nagato, they are all wrong. Mask Obito naturally didn't know, all this was originally arranged by Gong Yi. He was still here at the moment and felt that what Gong Yi knew was only one-sided, so Nagato would not have any life-threatening danger at all. Now even if Gong Yi hides his strength and completely defeats Nagato, the only thing that will die is 6 corpses. Disguise. Maybe because of this, Nagato might also give Gong Yi an unexpected blow. These things are not easy to say, but he knows that Pain's 6 paths is Nagato's biggest trump card, and the strongest force on the bright side. Now that Nagato's real secret is known, there is only one other than himself. In this way, now that Mask Obito's thoughts are here, he is also a lot more relieved about Nagato. Quickly suppressing his thoughts, the Mask Obito looked at him, and after a few last words, he immediately disappeared here. Power of the 6-tailed Jinchuriki column, only 3-tailed beasts can officially complete the plan, and the Mask Obito can't wait. He has been completely indifferent to anything, as long as he dares to stand in front of his eyes, then the Mask Obito will be completely destroyed without mercy. Philo reminds you, read the 3 things to collect, push the latest chapter Baidu search 99 playmates looking for 99 novels. Chapter 678. Hokage Event. Alternating black and white, time rushes. The Kurigakure turmoil, a week passed by in a blink of an eye. Shikaku, sensei, I'll leave the Konoha village affairs to you first. Sitting in the spacious Hokage office, Gong Yi looked at Nara Shikaku in front of him and said lightly. Regarding Hidan's research, Gong Yi has been completely stranded. Right now, at this moment, he still doesn't have much thought to study these. Unconsciously, half a month has passed, and no news from Jiraiya's side has come out. Gong Yi thought about it, but still felt that he needed to go and see for himself. Jiraiya has never been to a Megakure village, and her plans here can no longer be carried out. Although Gong Yi could go to the door himself, he simply killed Nagato. But this loses its meaning. Gong Yi is also a shrewd businessman, and he doesn't want to do things that don't do any good. It is clear that Jiraiya can be rescued, and the powerful combat power of this Konoha village can be better used for himself in the future. Then he would definitely not, and quietly kill the village of Megakure and kill Nagato directly. Well, that's why Gong Yi chose to go to Mount Myoboku now. If I don't go there, I think Jiraiya will always be watching Naruto. After all, the news of Kurigakure village, Jiraiya on Mount Myoboku must also know about it. With his character, after knowing that Akatsuki's final target is likely to be Naruto, Jiraiya estimates that it is even more impossible to leave Mount Myoboku easily. After all, he trusted Jiraiya so much back then and let him take Naruto to Mount Myoboku to practice. If Naruto has a problem at Mount Myoboku now, Jiraiya will not forgive himself. A simple thought, Gong Yi naturally knew that now he needs to go there in person. Although the plot was a bit confusing in Gong Yi's memory, he could also know. It won't be long before Pain will come to attack Konoha village. According to normal memory, Nagato should be for Kyuubi, Nine Tails come. But now, Nagato must be for himself. For Nagato's arrogant character, Gong Yi can clearly know. After he stole the four tails, the mask Obito will surely confuse Nagato to attack Konoha village. In this way, although the meaning is different, the plot of Kung Fu Pain's attack on the village will still be played out now. Of course, these things don't really matter to Gong Yi at the moment. His main idea was that he wanted Jiraiya to go to a Megakure village and that's all. As for the fact that after he left, Nagato had no worries at all if Nagato came. Left a Mokuden wood-style clone in Konoha village to guard, and if something like this happened, I could quickly come back through the technique of Hiraishin. Everything lives in his own master. If Nagato really came here, Gong Yi wouldn't need Jiraiya anymore, and could just kill him instead. After all, after saving Konoha village again, he can also gain the support of many ninjas again. Two plans, no matter which one, are very secure for Gong Yi. Dazzling, when Nara Shikaku heard Gong Yi finished speaking, he looked at Gong Yi and asked, "Has the practice on Naruto's side ended?" "That's right, basically it's almost time after so long." "Nonsense," Gong Yi immediately found a reason to respond to Nara Shikaku. "Now things in Kurigakure village continue to ferment. I worry that Akatsuki's side will get worse, so Naruto will return to Konoha village, it will be safer." Looking at it this way, it is indeed safer for Naruto to return to Konoha village. Naturally, Nara Shikaku didn't see through Gong Yi's thoughts, and she was still at this moment, nodding her head and analyzing. Since Akatsuki dares to forcibly break into the ninja village to capture the tailed beasts, then they will naturally have an interest in Mount Myoboku. There are also threats. Now our Konoha village is so powerful and there are many ninjas, and Hokage-sama, even if Akatsuki comes, it is indeed much better than Mount Myoboku. Chin, Nara Shikaku added in his head, "Sir Hokage, your consideration is indeed foolproof." Looking at Nara Shikaku like this, Gong Yi also shrugged and smiled helplessly. He knew that Nara Shikaku seemed to be in a state of association again. Sometimes I have to say that if the brain is too useful, it is indeed easy to delay things. Listening to Nara Shikaku's analysis, Gong Yi actually wanted to say it. He really didn't think so much. All of this is just to let Jiraiya leave, so that I can complete the plan. As for other things, Gong Yi naturally doesn't care. After all, Gong Yi belongs to the state of a prophet. In the entire ninja world, there is nothing at all that can escape his master. Of course, Gong Yi naturally doesn't care about those little things that are not worth noticing. The thoughts in his mind are all big events in the Hokage ninja world. But looking at it now, in fact, except the final battle of the Fourth Ninja World War. Basically, all major events have already been experienced without knowing it. Hee. This thought, Gong Yi smiled. For him, after the Fourth Ninja World War, the last big event. But it was made by himself. This is something that belongs to him alone, and there is no such thing in the whole original work. Looking back, I feel a lot of emotion. I was still worried about whether I would die on the battlefield. Thinking about how to control the entire ninja world. Imagine that in the past few decades, you can actually develop and grow to such a point. Quickly suppressing his thoughts, Gong Yi did not continue to groan for nothing here. That he still has things to do, he will be prepared to leave it to the time to end everything after reminiscing about his own history. "Shikaku," Gong Yi finally said, "it's basically like this, everything in the village is left to you, Teacher Shikaku." "No problem, Hokage-sama." Nara Shikaku nodded. without any hesitation, smiled and replied, "You can go to Mount Myoboku with confidence." Well. Nara Shikaku's voice fell. Gong Yi's entire body also instantly changed. Disappeared into the office. Hiraishin's heart is activated. When he reappears, he has already arrived in the jungle outside Konoha village. Goal, Mount Myoboku, set off. Chapter 679. Lost Mountain. Several Hiraishin spells are activated one after another. Gong Yi has already left the country of fire at this time. This time to Mount Myoboku, Gong Yi can only choose, on foot. Go ahead. Mount Myoboku, it is a mysterious holy place and the habitat of psychic beasts toads. In the ninja continent, it is a super secret place with the same name as Raichi Cave and Shikatsu Forest. However, although the legend is divine, it is not in a different world, but in the ninja world continent. So, just use some kind of guidance and Gong Yi can easily find its location. Normally, it doesn't really need to be that troublesome. Because it is completely possible to use reverse spiritism. You can directly reach Mount Myoboku. Reverse psychics, as the name suggests, psychics call psychics to the human world. Psychics conversely can also summon people to their world, so-called reverse psychics. Unfortunately, this reverse psychic, it only applies to those who have signed a blood pact with the toad of Mount Myoboku. For Gong Yi, there is no way to implement this method. Because even if he could perform reverse spiritism, the location he went to was not Mount Myoboku, but Raichi Cave, where he signed a blood pact with him. Looks like I need to waste a little time. Standing on the border of the Fire Nation, Gong Yi looked forward and whispered to himself. According to Jiraiya before, if you go to Mount Myoboku in the Land of Fire, it will take about a month to walk on foot. But for Gong Yi, this kind of thing doesn't need to be concerned. Next second. When the thoughts came to a sudden, a terrifying chakra force suddenly vented out. Gong Yi was expressionless at the moment, wearing a large black robe, his whole body gradually floated up. Sage mode is on. Naturally, Gong Yi will not choose to go on foot, but decided to turn on Sage mode to get there as soon as possible. Being on the sky is far more efficient than walking. The body rioted, Gong Yi almost turned into an afterimage and left here immediately. Although there is no Indian style of Hiraishin's technique, it is still extremely fast with Sage mode. Standing above the blue sky, Gong Yi cut through the clouds and pulled out a long trajectory. Now his chakra breath has subsided, and the whole person is completely hidden in the thick clouds. Whether it is a civilian or a ninja below, they are still busy with each other's affairs. No one seemed to notice. Above their heads, Gong Yi was passing quickly. Well, there are only a handful of ninjas who can fly on the ninja continent. Presumably at this moment, no one would have thought that someone would actually choose to hurry up. Let's do it. A short time, Gong Yi looked forward, and all that was reflected was a vast white cloud. Looking down now, I came to an unknown area of the ninja world continent. It has already begun to be uninhabited, and there is no life. The ninja continent is so big, some people are so poor that they are afraid that they will not be able to reach the end of it. Don't look at the ninja continent, there are only the country of fire, the country of wind, the country of earth, the country of thunder, etc. These superpowers. In addition to them, there are still some other, indigenous. They have no contact with the outside world, and they do not reveal anything. Maybe even to death, they don't know what the outside is like. In other words, there are some barren places in the ninja world, where they exist or do not know what ninjas are. Gong Yi's view, such a thing is actually very likely to happen. Even he has not fully studied the ninja world continent. In the final analysis, it is really too vast. Still, the sky maintains a state of soaring, and Gong Yi is not. Looking down. Looks like it's coming. At this moment, Gong Yi's tyrannical sense of consciousness continued to spread, and he could feel everything underneath. Through the perception of consciousness, Gang Yi is now in sage mode again, and he is very sensitive to natural energy. Now this is near the location of Mount Myoboku, which is different from the continent outside itself, and the energy here is very pure. Bend down and descend, feet down. Gang Yi cancelled sage mode. At the moment was a very ethereal mountain range. Just in the air, Gang Yi could clearly see that this mountain range seemed to be obsessed with Gang Yi, extremely vast. The mountains are stacked on top of each other, and the surrounding area is constantly covered with white fog, which makes people feel very mysterious. With a faint smile on his handsome face, Gang Yi walked away, directly submerging into the mountain range. The further forward you enter, the more abundant the natural energy. Although he is no longer maintaining sage mode, Gang Yi can still feel it. Gang Yi knew that he was not wrong, that Mount Myoboku was definitely ahead. Before Jiraiya left, he actually gave Gang Yi a map of Mount Myoboku. Seems that Jiraiya didn't deceive herself, that the route is completely correct. Keep going. Gang Yi's surroundings at this moment were completely covered by white smoke. Through the original work, Gang Yi also understood that this should be a natural barrier on the periphery of Mount Myoboku, also known as the Lost Mountain. If you don't know its secret rules, you can't really enter Mount Myoboku, you'll just keep going like this endlessly. However, although it seems very magical, for Gang Yi, there is no difficulty at all. Normally speaking, this white fog is easy for ordinary people to lose their way. But for ninjas, or even perception ninjas, it actually has no effect at all. However, Gang Yi can already guess the reason why the periphery of Mount Myoboku is called the Lost Mountain. This white fog, although it seems to be a natural landscape, is created by the climate. But in fact, it's not the case. It is produced by abundant natural energy, and after some changes, it finally forms a strange barrier. It looks like a white mist, but in fact it can completely deceive the chakra and senses in the human body. If there are no rules on the toad's side, I am afraid that even if you are a ninja, you will still lose your way. Because once you enter here, the energy of chakra will be disordered and completely unable to be used effectively. Even a tyrannical sentient ninja would be completely misled by this power. In this way, whether it is a ninja or a commoner, whoever enters here, I am afraid that there will be no return, and it will be difficult to leave. Chapter 680, Entering Mount Myoboku. However, although the periphery of Mount Myoboku has become an inaccessible location, as far as Gang Yi is concerned, there is no difficulty at all. The moment he came here, there were already countless solutions in his mind. It's simple. The first is to use powerful power to directly drive powerful ninjutsu to forcibly destroy this place. The second is to use the contract of toad blood and use reverse psychic immediately to Mount Myoboku. The third, Gang Yi guessed that the natural energy is so abundant here, so entering sage mode to feel the natural energy, at that time, with the help of the particularity of his body, he may also be able to enter Mount Myoboku. As for the fourth one, which is simpler, as long as the perception of divine consciousness is tyrannical to a certain level, then this place is naturally like a fake, and it will be completely self-defeating. The first two are, of course, impossible. I came here, not to find fault, but to help Naruto open sage mode and pick him up. It would be a bit too stupid to destroy this place with such great fanfare. As for signing a blood contract with Toad, Gang Yi has no interest at all. The third time to open sage mode, Gang Yi didn't even think about it. Because now I fully meet the requirements of the fourth point. When the fourth seed of divine consciousness appeared, Gang Yi was. I could clearly feel it. In the entire ninja world continent, there are only a handful of people who can have such a sense of consciousness. No, it should be absolutely impossible to have. In this way, the maze created by the so-called natural energy has no effect on Gang Yi at all. Gang Yi was thinking about these things in his mind now. He stepped forward and walked forward. After a while, he had already crossed the labyrinth mountain range and came directly to the end. It was a small hole, but it was inaccessible, but blocked by a huge stone. Looking ahead, Gong Yi's face froze, and he couldn't help thinking, it seems that Mount Myoboku is already on full alert because of the Akatsuki incident. Normally, such a holy place should be directly accessible. But at the moment they are blocked, obviously they are also guarding against someone. Carefully, the person they want to stop is afraid that there will be no one else except Akatsuki. After all, the ninja world continent must have already reached their ears. In order to prevent Naruto from having some kind of accident here, they don't seem to choose to take risks. Shaking his head, Gong Yi revealed a faint smile. These toads are really responsible enough. Sign a blood contract with them like the original, which seems to be a very correct choice. It is estimated that signing a blood contract with Raichi Cave will save myself a lot of heart. Jin done. A little forward, a golden ray of light is dazzling. The moment it appeared, this radiance vaguely swept away the white fog around it. Although it didn't target them, but invisible, they actually began to gradually spread towards both sides. Next second, I saw a golden light, which had penetrated the boulder in an instant. In the imagination, there was a loud roar, and the surroundings shook endlessly, and the scene that shocked everyone did not appear. Everything was so indifferent, as if nothing had changed at all. The wind is still there, whistling by. That shrouded in front of us gradually began to reconverge in front of us. As quiet as if nothing had happened just now. But Gong Yi's handsome face at the moment did not reveal the slightest surprise. It was as if he did all this on purpose. Stepping forward, when Gong Yi raised his hand and touched the boulder, the picture suddenly appeared shocking. The boulder that had just blocked the huge entrance, it actually huffed and completely shattered into powder. When the whistling mountain wind was lifted, they immediately drifted away with the wind. The compulsive force of destruction, the ashes that just destroyed it were all left. Such horror has reached ultimate's golden escape, and now some people are watching when it arrives. It will definitely look unbelievable. Time dazzled. Although Gong Yi was working on developing Konoha village, he was also secretly completing his ultimate plan. But he has never forgotten to strengthen his own strength. Gong Yi naturally knows that simply relying on conspiracy and tricks will not be able to do anything at all. Only once the power is strong can it truly accomplish everything. Especially when Gong Yi became, for the Ten Tails Jinchuriki column, he felt that his control over Jin Dun became more and more precise. Looking at the broken boulders ahead today, Gong Yi is more certain that the power of Ten Tails seems to have enhanced all his abilities. Gong Yi also stepped into Mount Myoboku. Inside, it is not a narrow cave, but a large mountain range. Unlike Raichi Cave, Gong Yi now seems to have entered the world of fairy tales. All the plants in front of them, as they can see, grow enormously. Yuhi-colored and yellow Madara-dotted mushrooms, the size of a house. And the green and white leaves are dozens of stories high. Feeling the majestic natural energy and looking at the amazing environment in front of him, Gong Yi was the first time he saw it. Countless plants seem to have been magnified countless times, and their vitality is incomparable and seems to be endless. At the same time, here at Gong Yi, after destroying the boulder blocking the entrance, a toad behind Mount Myoboku immediately opened eyes. It is majestic and full of yuhi color, with a huge chimney in its mouth at the moment. It is very humane, wearing an open blue kimono, with a Shota sword hanging from the back. Toad Bunta, one of the top leaders of Mount Myoboku. The stone of enchantment was quietly destroyed by someone. Toad Wenta was holding a chimney, revealing a humane vigilant look. Could it be those guys from Akatsuki? They came here, they want to take that kid Naruto away. After thinking about it for a while, Toad Wentai looked at the entrance. He couldn't help but secretly said, "No, let's go and have a look first." Boom, boom. As soon as the words fell, Toad Wenta immediately jump forward. The huge figure is just this jump at the moment, that is the distance of several thousand meters. Almost a few breaths, it immediately reached the entrance of Mount Myoboku ahead. Tense, and all ninjas are in danger. Because of Naruto, Mount Myoboku is naturally on full alert. This matter, they know that it is completely sloppy. And LT.